Hello and welcome to the Daggum Podcast. I am your host, Coopbacca. Joined with me is my co-host, Crossbow Dan, and our anger correspondent, Germanium. Our hot take for today is going to be discussing why I think Heath Ledger is not the best Joker. And our mid-segment, we're going to be interviewing our co-host, Crossbow Dan. And as for our final segment, we're going to be discussing our top 10 favorite comic book villains. So, I guess I will start us out here. For my first point as to why I think Heath Ledger's Joker is not the best Joker.
Yes, your first incorrect point.
And so I want to point out, this is not just talking about the live action Jokers. This is Jokers as a whole. This is including comics, TV shows, video games, anything like that. Just Joker as a character and the representation of him. So I figured the first thing I wanted to talk about was his laugh. Obviously, this is kind of one of the most iconic things for Joker. And personally for me, the most recognizable Joker laugh is going to be Mark Hamill. And this can be from the animated series and the Batman Arkham video games. Straight up, when I'm reading a comic book, watching a TV show, even if it's not Mark Hamill's voice, that's the voice that I picture in my head as for like when he's laughing. And so that's kind of my first point is I think Mark Hamill's got the best Joker laugh.
I will say Mark Hamill does a good laugh. Maybe even better than Heath Ledger's.
Okay.
I don't think Heath Ledger's character really displayed that sort of maniacal craziness. We'll just go craziest.
Sure.
Craziness in the Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Mark Hamill's number one either. Tell me, who was the first Joker laugh anyone in the world's heard?
Probably Cesar Romero in the 60s.
Go.
But is that really the most recognizable though? Like as a laugh, like if you're reading a comic and it has a little bubble and it's him laughing, like what's the laugh that's in your head? It's Mark Hamill.
I agree. It is Mark Hamill for me as well. Like you can't not hear his voice. I don't know, and I definitely I've watched some of the original Batman series, like television series, and Caesar's doesn't stick to me obviously like Hamill's does.
No. Well, and I want to point something out. All of these points are not to discredit Heath Ledger's Joker, but it's just me pointing out why I think he's not the best in all of these aspects. I think he was great.
So again, to Dan's point with the laugh, though, this Joker wasn't he was more chaos and less mischievous.
Yeah.
Whereas Hamill's Joker tends to be a little bit more playful and mischievous. Again, I mean, you take like the animated series and shit, and you're like,
sure.
I mean, it's for kids, so you have to be a little bit more playful. But so
I don't know.
Sorry. I get your. I kind of get the point because Hamill's is probably a slightly more iconic laugh, but I really did enjoy Joker's laugh. The one or two scenes he got it through.
Yeah. And I don't know. Did you play I don't think Dan did, but the Arkham series, like any of the games?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay. To me, I mean, this is just a personal.
I knew Hamill voiced him.
So Arkham Origins, it's not Mark Hamill.
Is it not?
But it sounds pretty close, but it's not him. But Arkham Asylum, City, and Night is all Hamill. And I personally think, specifically that Joker, I think for me, is once you hear it, I think that's the one that sticks with me the most. Because in the animated series, I mean, Mark Hamill was fairly young when he was acting him.
Right.
And did a great job. I mean, no less at all. But when he voiced him in the Arkham games, he was a bit older and kind of had that almost more
raspy.
deep, yeah, rasp to it, and so it's like almost more terrifying. And so, to me, it's kind of just Mark Hamill's laugh is just like I feel like what everybody is trying to replicate, but
Oh,
try
yeah.
not to copycat as much because that's who you pull from. You don't pull from Cesar
Right.
Romero's laugh. I mean, you're
Right.
trying to replicate Hamill, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a fair point. I will agree that Mark Hamill's is iconic. I just don't know if I hold Mark Hamill so far above Ledger's that Ledger's isn't better. Doesn't
Sure.
you know?
Okay. The next one's not as important as the laugh to me, but I still feel it's important, but it's also kind of in the same vein. So it's the Joker voice, just kind of his talking voice in general. Um, this one is a little harder to argue because I feel like Heath Ledger's talking voice as the Joker was pretty phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
But again, to me, I I think the biggest thing for me is when I'm reading a comic, when I'm reading Joker's lines, it's Mark Hamill's voice as the Joker. And so, to me, the voice and the laugh is going to be Mark Hamill ranked at the top. I mean, I don't think Joaquin's too far below him, but sorry, Joaquin, Heath Ledger. I don't think he's too far below Mark Hamill, but I don't know. There's something about it that I think he probably resonates with everybody, and I think it may maybe have been a little easier because maybe he's animated, and it's hard to make that comparison because you can animate a character from a comic into a TV show and animate a character from a comic into a video game to where they really bring that character to life where obviously if you
Right.
don't look exactly like the Joker from the comics it's maybe doesn't bring it as much. The next one I wanted to bring up is the psychology of Joker. And so, to me, the best one is probably Joaquin Phoenix. Um,
Well,
reason being, let me kind of explain. So, the psychology of him, not necessarily what makes him like so scary, but him like truly being mentally ill and mentally unstable to where he can't even control himself like around himself and to where his psychology just from where he was brought up into
what
and
a
what
kid.
made him into the Joker.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I think Joaquin's psychology probably resonates the most with me as a Joker.
Okay, I got to go back to the voice thing. First of all, um, when Heath Ledger says, "Why so serious?" or
Mhm.
"You want to know how I got these scars?" That's the Joker voice for me. That's the voice I hear Joker in. And he nails it there. So I would say he has a better voice than Mark Hamill, even though, like, I would give Mark Hamill the laugh, but I will not give him the voice. Um,
Okay.
Second to the psychology of Joker, I think Joaquin is too far. Like, he's too crazy, almost. Uh, He's is like a mastermind a little bit. And you do get that from Joker. Like, he wouldn't be a great criminal if he wasn't kind of a good schemer.
Right.
And Joaquin, you never see him as a good schemer. He's just crazy.
Well, and
Which,
I will get to that point specifically. Um, I can just jump into that one since we're kind of talking about it. Um, as the schemes and the kind of the criminal master planner, the mastermind behind what makes him, you know, the the king of chaos in Gotham. I do agree that Heath Ledger probably is the number one Joker with, creating master plans of just chaos. Like his plan is just to create as much chaos and fuck as many people over as he can. With the whole boat scene giving the little remotes, like knowing damn well what the results are, and just pitting those two against each other just to make people question their humanity, I thought was amazing. And so I will 100% agree with you as far as being the criminal mastermind. I would say Heath Ledger probably has that nod at the top.
Yeah, and I feel like that plays into psychology, where I think Heath's psychology of the Joker matches exactly what I would see or I'd want to see in the Joker. Um, so if we go to animated series, uh, the 60 or what is it, the Batman, the animated show, like the OG one,
Yeah.
that one also captures the Joker really well, psychology wise. Um, the newer animated one with like the dreadlock Joker,
Yeah.
I would say that is the worst
Whoa.
psychology wise for Joker. I don't think that matches. Like I get what they were trying to do, but I don't think it matches exactly what I would want to see in the Joker. And then somewhere in there is Jack Nicholson's Joker, where it's more of a joke. But again, Adam West Batman was definitely more of a comedy than an action series, so you can get that. But yeah, I think Heath nails it as the psychology you'd want in a Joker.
So okay, I gotta go back to the voice thing. I actually agree that I think Mark Hamill's voice is still in my mind. Like, so I mean, he's two lines like "Why So Serious" and "Scars" are great. Like, you can't not hear that voice in your head when you hear those. But when you hear Mark Hamill voice act, he has almost like a cadence to it. Like it kind of bounces in. Like my mind comes to like if I'm thinking about him talking and him like saying stuff, it's almost like a ballet play. Like I mean, it's like you watch these dancers just hop across the the stage and stuff. And Mark Hamill does that with words. Like there's just again, it's a very subtle thing, but it's I don't know. It's something I imagine when I'm reading the comics too. Like especially when you get and like again there and you go back to the psychology too, or go ahead on the voice before I go.
So when I hear Mark Hamill's voice, even when he's the Joker, I still image Mark Hamill. Doesn't escape from me. I honestly like knew who Heath Ledger was, and it's hard for me to like go through and like see Heath Ledger in the Joker in The Dark Knight. And even the first time I watched it, it was like, is that really Heath Ledger? He separated himself from that role so well that I couldn't even see him in it. And Mark Hamill doesn't do that, and even in his voice acting, like I can still hear, I'm like, yeah, that's Mark Hamill, and I can see his face.
See, that's kind of your, I guess your comparison, like saying that he just embodies them so well that you can't tell that it's Heath Ledger. That's me for Mark Hamill. It's when I hear that Joker, I'm not like, oh, that's Mark Hamill. I'm like, that's just the fucking Joker, because that literally the character of the Joker that is in my brain burned in. It's Mark Hamill. Like Mark Hamill is the Joker to me. And so I guess I don't see Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill is Luke. I'm sorry. Mark Hamill is Luke. It's not the Joker.
It's kind of thing, but I mean, like, so I don't know. I get your point. Like, I mean, I never not see Mark Hamill, but like once the performance gets going, like, do you really just remember, oh, this is Mark Hamill the whole time, or can you not get into it? Like, because I feel like it's almost your own thing. Like, I don't know.
No, but I mean, it's not that I'm not saying Mark Hamill is bad. I'm just saying Heath Ledger did such a great job for me separating himself from the Joker that through his whole performance, I don't even know that's Heath Ledger. And like, I like Heath Ledger. I loved A Knight's Tale. And it was so contrasting of what Heath Ledger had done. And it was so convincing to be, the Joker that I'm like, okay, that's the Joker. It wasn't even that's Heath Ledger. I didn't even think that.
Yeah, but I mean, just like to Coop's point, like Mark Hamill isn't Luke. He isn't Mark Hamill. He's the Joker to Cooper. Like just because it was I mean, again, I mean, kind of like the food thing in the last episode, it just kind of comes down to your own image or
Sure.
your own, display of what you've been doing your whole life. Like if you've only watched the animated series, I mean, Mark Hamill is going to be the Joker for you. Like, so.
How do you feel on the psychology of it? You were going to comment on that. I just wanted to hear.
So the psychology of it, like, I don't know. I like they kind of briefly in the movie go out, like, I mean, they have the whole interrogation scene where it's like, you need me, I need you. The crappy thing about it being a movie is it doesn't play into that enough.
Yeah.
Like, that is one thing I love about the Joker. It's like his one goal in life is to get Batman to kill him, and he is just absolutely obsessed with the Batman. That is part of my problem with Joaquin Phoenix, is there's no Batman. And I do kind of agree on the wherewithal to be able to make a plan as good as Heath's Joker or pretty much any of the other Jokers. Like, Joaquin Phoenix does not look like he has the ability to make a crazy ass plan that will work out in 40 different steps, just like Batman has to defeat his opponents. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe he doesn't necessarily have like the wits for it. I don't know.
I mean, I'm
guess...
not saying he couldn't technically gain that, like, if you go down, like, in another movie, maybe for fucking some reason, or there's always obviously you have all the theories about, hey, maybe this was just a giant made up facade, whatever.
Well, that's another thing I don't like about Joaquin's, and this may play into the psychology a little bit, I guess. So you can connect it here, but I liked through the comics, through the Dark Knight, they never gave Joker an origin story, and even in the Dark Knight, him making up origin stories of like, want to know how I got these scars, and like coming up with different things. That is the Joker, because it's like he's an enigma. You don't know where he came from. And I think that is part of his psychology. So when you gave him an origin story in the Joker, not that Joaquin's Joker wasn't good, it didn't feel true to the comics as much, or didn't feel quite as right as the Joker. It was almost a separate character.
But to that point, kind of what Jeremy said, there are all these theories that it might not even have happened. Well, so this whole thing could have been bullshit. And it's like, is that his origin story? Or is that that's what he wants his origin story to be?
Right. In which, I mean, so we can't really, we probably shouldn't start debating Joaquin's, Joker, because that's not the discussion for today. But I don't like it as much.
Sure. I guess I guess maybe the psychological breakdown of his character before he was the Joker is what hit it home for me, maybe. It's like, this kind of plays into my next point. I'll just kind of segue into that. I know, and I agree with Dan to this point, that he never did have an origin story, a true origin story. But in a way, having that kind of background to see what he was pulled from, to see what made him be this way, and I'm going to relate it to Joaquin Phoenix again, he was the result of a society that failed to help him. Like, he didn't become bad on his own. The reason he was bad is because everybody around him, they just said, fuck it, and we don't care about the middleman. And then that ended up fucking him in the ass. And now he's the Joker. And so I guess having that contextual reference, to me, helped me a little bit to understand maybe why. I know you don't necessarily, Dan, like him having an origin story. But even if it wasn't 100% true, if some of that in his mind, those fragments of it, if deep down in the core was this like society failing him, I don't know. I feel like that just hit me so hard to where I'm like, fuck. I'm like, that would make somebody almost into the Joker. That would break somebody to the point where they really have nothing left. Like finding out everything about his like parents, not knowing if his dad is Thomas Wayne. You don't know. And that's okay. I'm glad I didn't find out if that was true or not, because it kind of leaves it a mystery. But having all of these mysteries in his head, in a way, he's almost making it up as he goes, because he's like, I honestly don't even know what the fuck is true. And that's kind of what's driving me mad. And so you almost can relate to him in a way. And so having that background to the character kind of built it for me. I'm not going to acknowledge Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie as the origin story for Joker, because it doesn't play into every iteration of the Joker. But I think it may be the best contextual reference of maybe how he became, other than maybe the Killing Joke.
I'm gonna go back to saying that I don't like the Joker to have a set origin story. I think the mystery of why he became the Joker allows anyone to be like, how far did this guy get pushed? How far would I have to be pushed to become this crazy and want to do these things? And I think it makes them ask themselves, is that somewhere I could go? And I think that relates me more to the Joker, and I think that relates more people to the Joker than having like a contextual reference in Joaquin's version of the Joker. I think leaving it open allows more people to relate.
In a sense, I guess. I mean, I feel like that movie just brought in almost so much relatability to the character that, like, you're like, holy shit, because it brought it into kind of our world in a way, to where you're like, okay, the government cut funding for therapy. He's not going to get any more medications. He's obviously mentally ill, but society has given up on him. And so, I don't know. I feel like that's relatable, because you could see that, maybe the homeless person that you see on the street, maybe that shit happens to them, and you're like, I mean, that could damn well happen in the real world, because this isn't necessarily a superhero movie anymore. This is almost like real life. Like, this could happen tomorrow if society
And
continues to fail the people that need the help the most. I don't know. I feel like it just maybe resonated with me so much to be like, holy shit, like almost anybody could be the Joker. And so, like, maybe he really isn't the Joker. Like, obviously he's the Joker in the movie, and again, like, with all these theories that aren't proven to whether he is the real Joker, or maybe he inspired the person to become the Joker. That also kind of adds that mystery to where you're like, the result of that created the Joker, regardless, whether it's Joaquin or whether it's Joaquin inspiring somebody. The result of society failing somebody resulted in the Joker happening. And
I
I
don't
guess
think
to
that
me, it's just,
I don't think that storyline isn't there in The Dark Knight, though. When you see, the Joker making up origin stories, I mean, he talks about being abused as a child and, stuff like that. So I don't think it's not that, hey, society hasn't failed him. I think it clearly has. But the Joker, instead of choosing one origin story, I think Heath Ledger's Joker embodies all of them. He just says, this is all the wrong in society. This is all the wrong. Not just what happened to me, but what happened to everyone. That's why I'm the Joker. Because all the wrongs in society, not just this one specific little thing. And that's why I feel like leaving it open is definitely better. And that's why I feel like Heath's Joker, it just, the open origin is just better for the Joker.
what do you think, Jeremy? I guess, do you like the idea of an open origin, not having an origin to it, or do you like the idea of having something that made the Joker into what he is, and not even necessarily just Joaquin? I mean, shit, The Killing Joke is one of the greatest fucking comic books of all time, giving an origin story to the Joker. And I think that's why it's so great, because you can almost be like, that is 100% why he's the Joker. His wife being pregnant, he's a struggling comedian, and his wife dies in a car crash, and he's like, well, I have nothing left to lose now. I'll go help you rob this place. And because of that, it broke him to see his wife die. and then he gets caught red-handed in this whole, robbery deal, and then he becomes the Joker, and it's, one bad day made him into who he was. I kind of like having that background.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah,
Yes,
there
now
you
I can. Yeah.
I don't know. So like, if I was gonna choose an origin, Killing Joke beats Joaquin easily. For me, I really do enjoy the Killing Joke. But it's so hard not to want the Joker to be that display of just, or I mean, to be the only one without an origin. Like, I mean, he is that was always the fun about the Joker, right? Like, I mean, you'll never know who the hell this guy is, why he was this way, what drove him to do this, other than just pure chaos. And that's where I think Heath does take the cake, because I love the idea of just pure chaos. Like, why not do anything? Or why do it because I can? Like,
Sure.
because there's this guy in town that's beating up all their criminals. Like, fucking, let's show them what the hell we can do.
Sure. I mean, it's a
The
completely
killing,
fair argument. Yeah.
Again, it comes back to me becoming a father at this point. Like, so I do get the Killing Joke resonates with me even more, but it's, I don't know. And then so, Dan, have you read the Three Jokes? The Three Jokers?
No.
Okay. And you haven't yet either, Coop, have you?
No, not yet.
Because there's some fun stuff about that Joker, and kind of like it ties back to the Killing Joke in that. So you should do that. Get on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's a very fair, argument for sure. Like,
but I that's part of the reason I didn't really like Joaquin's. Again, like, it just comes back to losing the the mystery behind, again, why is this guy doing this, and will we ever find out?
yeah,
And it just straight up gave it to you. Like, it's like, here's why this guy's. I mean, in theory, that's why it's happening. So.
and it kind of did. I only just want to punch a couple more points in there. I feel like it didn't necessarily give us the true origin to it. Like, it did. Like, it gave us the origin story, but him being the narrator of his origin, he was so inconsistent about what was actually true. He's telling us, yeah, he went and killed these people, and then he went and had sex with his neighbor. Well, that didn't ever actually happen. Like, he's making shit up as he goes. And so I'm like,
right. Is it all made up?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's made up? What does he want to be real? And so, in my mind, I guess that resonated with me because it kind of hit home for both points. Like, I do understand having the multiple origins, like not actually having a true origin. And I think they were kind of able to balance that pretty well by pointing out that he's not a consistent narrator. Like, everything he's saying isn't actually true. And you don't even know if the whole thing was real. Who knows?
Don't you hate that trope, though? When it's like, it was all a dream? Because I hate that sci-fi trope.
Well, I don't think it was all a dream. I think some of it probably was. Maybe he never did end up... maybe he didn't ever end up killing, like, Murray on the show. Like, maybe he just imagined it so much. Maybe he was in prison after he killed those people on the train station. But again, that kind of leaves the mystery open. Is like, what did he do? Did he kill those people? Has he been psycho the whole time? Is he even the Joker? I don't know. But I don't know.
And that's where, again, Heath doesn't give you that. Like, Heath is just constant chaos, which, again, like Dan said, the trope of just having something happen and then it didn't happen because you didn't want it to happen, because you don't know, like, you never know. Like, at this point, like, the writers want to change something, like, are they just being dickheads, or are they just trying to have fun and don't make it well? Like, it is kind of an old trope. I don't necessarily mind it still. Sometimes, you have the good fake outs, but I don't know, that Heath never has that. You just know it's constant chaos. And like Dan said, his little stories could, hell, fuck, they could all be true for all you know.
Yeah.
And like, it's just as torturous as Joaquin's was. So.
Okay, fair enough. I feel like that was kind of a big topic. Like, it was hard to, like.
The psychology is pretty much the Joker's. Whole identity, right? Like, without, again, the lure of the mystery of why this guy is here. I don't think he's as popular as he has been over the years if you don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it is easy to relate with people, like the Lizard or Sandman and all these other guys, because they have families and shit that they're trying to take care of. They're very relatable, but I don't know, they don't have that lure to them.
Sure. Well, no, I mean, it's a good argument. I mean,
I know.
It's a hard one to have for me. I mean, fuck. This hot take was hard enough for me to fucking build, but
right. Oh, I'm sure. I
so,
feel like I kind of lost track on some of the arguments. It's like just went straight up against Joaquin versus why Heath is not the best.
Yeah.
And me and Dan kind of like, this is why Joaquin kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wanted to break into those points because that's honestly, well, no, I'm not. Yeah, we'll just keep going here.
You're good, yeah.
My next kind of point, this one isn't as, I don't know. This one was hard. I feel like it's very controversial, but at the same time, it's not like that actually big of a deal. But it's, who is the most iconic Joker? And I know Dan's gonna be like, well, that's fucking Heath Ledger. But to me, again, it's Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah, the animated series Joker, I think, is pretty much my iconic Joker. Like, you have that voice, the way he moves in the show, he's funny. I mean
his look is straight from the comics. I mean, it's hard to argue against it because it was almost easy for them to kind of cheat and be like, well, it's animated, so I can draw the comics and just animate them.
I mean, I guess now that I'm an adult, like if you take the Killing Joke movie, like that aesthetic with Mark Hamill's voice, like that is probably prime Joker.
Yeah, 100%.
So, when I think Joker, I think of two images in my head. One is Heath Ledger sitting in the prison cell, like hunched over, just like knowing what's about to happen. That's one of the images I see. The second one, this might surprise you, is Jack Nicholson in that purple suit with the hat. Those are the images I picture. Yeah. Those are the images I see when I think Joker. Okay, what does he look like? It's like Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger in the jail cell.
I get the Jack thing because it does come into my mind a lot, but it just I think Mark, or like the other one that comes into my mind is the scenes I have seen from the Arkham Knight series, like and you hear Hamill's voice. Like, it's a pretty iconic one too.
It's fucking, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, feels like you're playing a comic book at that point. You're like,
but I do get the Jack Nicholson smile thing because like his smile was really good. But you go back and watch that movie, and I don't know. As far as Jokers go, I don't. It's been a while.
I don't rate him that high.
Like when I think iconic, I'm like, okay. If I think of the Joker, who
just as
am I
like
picturing in my head? Right. For some reason, Jack Nicholson pops up in there, like as like the first or second image of him just like smiling.
I mean, that was one of your first or second images of him, wasn't it?
I know, and then that probably, yeah. So that
which again, I completely understand because I'm pretty sure that was my first introduction to the Joker as well.
Yeah. So that's that's probably a hot take in itself, saying Jack Nicholson is the most iconic image Joker. But yeah, I don't picture Mark Hamill's Joker. I think
I don't know. I don't know if it is as much of a hot take as we probably think from how old we are growing up with the Dark Knight. I mean, I feel like we probably do jump to that Joker, whereas our parents are probably going to say probably Jack Nicholson, because when they grew up, that was their Joker. Like probably when they were our age at that time, their Joker was probably Jack Nicholson. And so, I don't know, they might resonate more with him than Ledger.
I still don't think either one of my parents would say that Jack Nicholson's was better than Heath Ledger's, though.
I don't even know if
I would hope not.
Joker is.
Probably not. Okay, this next one, this one was kind of an odd point, but I just wanted to almost bring it up just as kind of a discussion point. Obviously this is all opinionated, but this one was very much opinionated, and it was trying to decide who the most terrifying Joker was. And
Like visually or like
um
scheming?
as a almost as a whole, like if you saw him in a room or you saw him coming at you with a knife, like who's going to scare you the most? And so yeah, look does play into it, voice does play into it, the laugh does play into it.
Now,
Their stature plays into it.
now before you get to it, 90-pound Joaquin Phoenix is not terrifying. Just
Not
FYI,
at
Cooper.
all. Not at all.
No, yeah, I wasn't going to
Okay,
say
I
Joaquin
was
Phoenix.
just gonna make sure.
No, you're
I
good.
actually, I have a hot take on this on its own too. I think the one I'm going to say is like going to be a little out there.
Okay, so I'll just say mine first. The most terrifying to me out of anything that I've read or watched or played, the one that actually like freaked me out the most was Michael Emerson's Joker from the Dark Knight Returns comic and animated like 2-part movie. I don't know if you've seen that or read that, Dan.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I might have seen the movie. I don't know. I don't recall it.
Essentially, he goes into an insane asylum. The time period of the Dark Knight Returns is, Gotham has aged and almost everybody else has aged. Batman's retired, Catwoman's an old lady, Joker's obviously older, but he doesn't really age because it's the Joker. And so he was in an insane asylum from the past, being the Joker, and he essentially kind of plays his way out of the insane asylum to kind of trick the therapist into thinking that he's sane. After this long, and after almost all of Gotham with the return of Batman, they don't want Batman again because Gotham has been almost less. There's been less crime since Batman's been gone, and then it kind of started to ramp up, and that's why Batman came back. But everybody thinks Batman coming back is bad. He's able to trick his way out of the insane asylum, and this is 100% where Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, the talk show scene, was pulled from. When he goes on the talk show and they're like, we're interviewing the most terrifying person of all time, he's sane now, and he planned it the whole time to where he cuts his therapist's throat on screen and says, I'm gonna kill everybody in this room, and doesn't like have any emotion change, and they're all just like, haha, very funny, and then he proceeds to kill everybody in the room. And I don't know, his look, his voice, his stature, he's being in prison. They don't show it, but I'm guessing he probably is fucking working out because he's kind of built. He's got, the broad shoulders at that point. And so he becomes kind of this intimidating force where he's smart, intimidating, and he might be able to, in a way, kind of go toe to toe with Batman strength wise. And so, I don't know, to me, that Dark Knight Returns Joker was just fucked up and creeped me the fuck out. So I think that one is the most terrifying to me.
Okay. So kind of a few different parts. Now, one, if I were a criminal organization going up against a Joker, it would be Heath. But since I am not, and I'm an individual, there are two that stand out to me that I would not want to be caught in a room with. And the first one's a little bit of a hot take. I would not want to be caught in a room with Jared Leto's Joker. But I think that has more to do that I would not want to be in a room with Jared Leto.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
Sure.
probably it. The other one is Cameron
Monaghan.
Monaghan's
Yeah.
Joker.
Jerome
He is also
Joker.
terrifying me. That is probably the one that would scare me the most to be like in a room with.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. No, his take is great. 100%. I think those are good choices, and I think it's just, I was just really kind of curious what you guys thought as far as like the terrifying factor of the Joker, like who kind of ranks to the top. Jeremy, what do you
Oh
think?
yeah, sorry. So
No,
I
you're
do agree that the Gotham Joker, Jerome, I don't remember what the hell his name is in the show. He is a terrifying one. His presence was just kind of creepy, especially once his face got cut off and he stapled it back on.
good. Yeah.
But then I think that again the creepiest one, like if you could bring him out of the comics and put it, is the one where the Joker has his face cut off.
Yeah, the death of
You
the
know,
family. Yeah.
that's that one.
Yeah.
That one. I mean,
From a look perspective,
the way they
100%.
put that in the the comics and they draw it and make it just looks. I mean, I don't know if
It's
there's anything that's gonna
nasty.
be more terrifying. Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Because
Like,
he's
I
like
mean, are
truly
you
a
gonna fuck?
monster at that point.
Are you
Yeah.
really? Well, yeah. Are you gonna fuck with a guy that's got his face cut off and stapled back on? I mean, both of them. Like in
Yeah.
that. Like, I mean, this guy's obviously not feeling pain. What the fuck am I gonna do?
He's like fucking Leatherface at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a good one. That's a really good one. I kind of wanted to. Yeah, I think with Cameron Monaghan's Joker, I don't know. I think he almost might be maybe kind of the most unique Joker in a way. Um, he felt different than the Joker, but he also felt similar. And I mean, not to like try and spoil it, but in the show, there kind of is two different Jokers in the show. Both are played by Cameron Monaghan. So it's Jerome, and for the most part, we think that he's going to become the Joker, and in reality, I think his name is Jeremiah, which is his twin brother. He's actually the legitimate Joker, and so I thought that the Gotham Joker as a whole was kind of probably the most unique take on the Joker, just the way that they approached it. I know it's kind of hard maybe for you guys to discuss it because you haven't necessarily
Right.
seen it, but
I didn't really like it because again I don't like to give the Joker an origin story as like a character. But if we're going most terrifying, that's the Joker I don't want to be in a room with.
Yeah.
that's fair.
So I haven't watched enough to get to the second part, like the Jeremiah part of the Joker. But yeah, I don't know.
I think both are fucking creepy as fuck. I mean, it's
The
great.
first one definitely is like someone you don't want to be hanging out with.
Yeah, I think they were just able to combine so many different aspects into the Joker, and having both, you kind of got your more classic Joker maybe with Jerome, and then Jeremiah was, I don't know, kind of that gross looking white face, kind of, wrinkled skin, kind of just nasty looking Joker, and kind of that creepy, kind of raspy-ish voice that we're kind of accustomed to. I don't know. You should definitely get to it though. It's great. I mean, I didn't like really spoil much. I mean, it's just
Yeah, no worries.
I thought it was cool. Really kind of the last point for mine, and this one also is very hard to fucking choose, was the who had the best look for the Joker. And again, as you probably can tell, Mark Hamill is 100% my favorite Joker at this point. So I think the look, and it's kind of cheating, would probably be given to Mark Hamill, his Joker, because in the animated series and in the Arkham games, they were able to kind of replicate what we see in the comics. And so to me, his look as the Joker was more Joker than any of the other Jokers that I've seen. I'd probably put Jack Nicholson honestly second as far as the look.
Yeah, I'm gonna like. I do like Heath's look. It isn't a traditional Joker, so
Yeah.
maybe you're saying that might not be, and so I can understand that argument. But I do love the look that they gave Heath. Like if you say who in real life looks like the Joker. I think Jack Nicholson's Joker, like that's who you would see. Let's talk about Zach Galifianakis's Joker though. Lego Batman. That's
Yeah.
a really good look. I like that look.
True.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, you're not necessarily wrong. I think
I
that
like the
they're.
sharp teeth in the Lego Batman.
Sure.
It gives him more an attitude.
I think as far as the look, if there were somebody to play the Joker, if I were wanting somebody to play the Joker, I think the person that probably could look like him the most without having to put much effort would be Willem Dafoe. Because I mean, you put white makeup on his face and you fucking paint his hair green, and you're literally just fucking pulling him from the comics at that point.
Yeah.
He's getting a little old at this point, but yeah, like 5-10 years ago, William Dafoe. I can see
You
it.
take some of the older Jokers though, and he'd look great like him. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
And again, we don't. I mean, with the whole mystery behind the Joker, nobody knows how fucking old he is.
he is wrinkly though.
He's gross. Who do you have for the best Joker
Iconic.
look?
So iconic look, yeah. I mean, Hamill. I really do like. So I like Heath Ledger's version because it feels like, I don't know.
Maybe
like
the most grounded.
It's very grounded in the fact that, like, I mean, he feels like he
Could be in the real world.
Yeah, well, he could be in the real world, but so with his, it kind of comes back to, like, his thing always felt like he was almost like ex-military. You know, like, I know that's a big couple rumors going around, but it's like someone with ex-military training that's like, I'm gonna throw on this purple suit and this green vest and go, fuck the world up. And it does feel very grounded, but it, like, in the real world, it would stand out like a son of a bitch. So
Sure.
it's not like as flamboyant as the animated stuff. So that's, I don't know. The other, again, the Dread Joker is fun to look at too.
Yeah, he's fun.
I don't know. He's just one that stands out. And the one thing I didn't really point out, I completely forgot about the Zach Galifianakis one. As far as psychology goes, that is one that needs Batman, and Batman needs him.
Yeah,
It's
that is
like-
very.
As much
Like-
of it as a
like, as
joke
soon as
in
you
That's the
said
that
point
that,
of the
like-
movie. That's the whole point of the movie.
Exactly.
It is.
Like, they did so good with that.
maybe
No,
it was a little
Lego
dramatic, but I mean, shit, they were
No,
crying because they didn't have each other.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
fantastic.
it
I
was
forgot
great. It
how
was
well
great.
that movie did that. Yeah, and you don't really think about that as far as, like, the comic book, like,
Yeah.
emotional ties go, or the Joker's psychology of why he needs Batman and Batman needs him, because it's a Lego movie. Like, it's just giant.
Yeah.
It's almost like a fake out that's actually true, like, just because they play it out like a big old joke.
Yeah.
Great acting choices in the
Yeah,
Lego
no,
Batman movie.
There wasn't anything bad about that movie.
Will
Like,
Arnett
I
is pretty.
I forget
phenomenal
how
as
good
Batman.
that is one of the best Batman movies.
It really is. I mean, like, as silly as it is, it's like, if you're going for the campy Joker, or the campy, like, Batman world. I mean, I like that one the most.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna go back to the '60s show. I'm not gonna watch Tim Burton's. I mean, not even Tim Burton's, Schumacher's movies. I mean, they did it the best while still telling a good story.
Right.
Because you get the understanding in the background of every character, with it being a little dramatized, but I mean, for the better, I think. I don't know. So it was very hard. As a whole, though, I think Mark Hamill is the number one Joker to me. Out of all aspects put together, I think Mark Hamill is probably the best Joker for me.
Oh, I guess the only other one I would say that I really like aesthetically, though, is the Batman Who Laughs Joker.
Sure.
The Joker that kills
Yeah.
and takes over the Batman. That's another good one. Sorry.
He does look great. No, I mean, I guess I honestly don't know. I mean, it's obviously a hard topic to, like, argue, but I mean, Jeremy, is your favorite Joker, is it Heath Ledger, like, that we've gotten?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Like, he edges it out, I mean, probably just barely above Mark. And I think part of Mark's is probably nostalgia, and I mean maybe Heath's too. But like, and of course he's kind of got the empathy with the whole suicide thing too, which I mean I don't want to say it's an empathy thing. I don't know. He devoted to that role, but like it might play a little factor into. I don't know. But I mean I also he did so good, and Heath Ledger was good in everything he did too. Like,
It's true.
I mean,
as an actor,
Nightingale is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty phenomenal.
So, I don't know. I don't think anyone's gonna beat him, not for a little while. If Joaquin hadn't got so, again, origin story on it, like if he had been a little bit more wacky, Joaquin probably could have done. I mean, as far as actors go, like he probably would have been right there with him. But I think the problem for that one just comes story wise for me.
Yep. That is my problem with Joaquin's. I think it was well acted. I think it was a good story. I just don't think it was as much as the Joker as I would have hoped. And then I get your points on Mark Hamill, but yeah, Heath is definitely number one. Also, back to the Lego Batman movie. How good was Will Arnett? Oh my god.
I don't know. It's perfect Batman.
Second best Batman.
Oh,
Kevin
best
Conroy. Kevin
I
Conroy.
was going to say George Clooney.
I mean,
bad nipples.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a hot take on its own for that as well. But shit, I think my favorite live action Batman is actually Val Kilmer. But I don't know.
Nah, Christian Bale nails it. For me,
I like Christian Bale way better as an actor.
Yeah,
but
he nails the Batman role. But I will say, Will Arnett's was pretty good. It's just so funny.
The problem with Christian Bale is he's another one of those guys that just nails most of his roles. So it's like, it's so hard to discredit him.
The Batman movies aren't even my favorite Christian Bale movie. I would say The Prestige is, with Christian Bale playing two guys as twins and just nails it.
I think American Psycho is honestly probably my favorite Christian Bale movie. It's probably not like the best movie that he's done, but it's probably my favorite Christian Bale movie.
Have you seen The Prestige? It's excellent.
That's the Magic movie, right? Like
yes.
Okay. With Hugh Jackman.
Him and Hugh Jackman, go up against each other.
Yes.
She's just very good, but it's, I don't know.
Scarlett Johansson's in it.
I still have yet to see Ford v Ferrari. I know we're kind of not.
That's pretty good too.
He did very good in that movie. Yeah, that movie hits home just because obviously the whole car thing. But
I want to watch it.
Matt Damon did so good too.
Which one is the one where? Oh, The Mechanic. Is it Christian Bale movie? Is that
The Machinist?
Machinist, yes. That's another good Christian Bale movie. That one had me tripping.
There's a boxing one too. I don't think he's in it as much, but he plays the brother of
the older brother. Yeah, good role.
I like that one a lot, but I was just trying to think. I feel like every movie he's in.
You could just be like, so excited for him to be in Thor coming up.
Yeah,
he's gonna nail.
I'm hoping he's Beta Ray Bill.
He's Guru, the God Killer.
Right. But yeah.
Can we at least get Beta Ray Bill in that movie?
All right. So yeah, Heath Ledger.
I feel like they're doing too much, too many other things, with because they're at least everyone said they're gonna do like the Jane Foster Thor, and Valkyrie's still there. So it's like I think there's too many heroes already.
Yeah, to do a Beta Ray Bill.
I just want to see him. Okay.
But then I'm pretty sure Hemsworth signed on for another one after this one too, didn't he? Like I feel like another Avengers and another Thor. So Beta Ray Bill is still in the. I think on the board.
Well, I digress. All in all, it was a pretty good discussion. It was very hard for me to actually do that hot take, being that Joker's one of my favorite characters of all time. Because I love almost every rendition of the Joker. Jared Leto is an asshat. But
he had potential. But
he did. He's a good actor. He's a good actor. I think the costume design and the writing. It was the costume design and the writing that kind of fucked him up. I think if somebody else did that movie, it could have been fine.
I actually kind of like the ghetto idea of the Joker, though, the thuggy.
I don't like the teeth. The teeth is what makes me think, oh my god, it's the millennial Joker.
Yeah, That is
It's SoundCloud Joker. What do we do?
I mean,
He's
I
got the
watch
face
football players
tats and the
wear
grills.
grills all the time, so I feel
Yeah,
like at this
but
point it just doesn't phase me.
but football players aren't going
I
to be
think
the
he's going to
Joker.
fit Morbius the Living Vampire so much better than
He
he would have the
is,
Joker.
100%.
Oh yeah,
And if he goes into a supervillain anti-hero role of, I guess is probably what they're trying to build.
I mean, he's coming
Which
back
I
in the
kinda-
Justice League. He's coming back in the Justice League Snyder Cut. He could get redeemed.
Oh, stop pushing that. Just kidding.
Snyder Cut release 2021 HBO Max. Be there.
Hey, we ain't
Just
sponsored. Don't
Yeah.
promote that.
Yeah, they're not gonna fucking sponsor us after we just trashed
Yeah.
all their shit. But all right, I digress. Well, that was good discussion. We're gonna jump over into our interview of Crossbow Dan. So stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to the Daggum Podcast. There are new episodes available every Monday on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Anchor. More platforms will become available soon. Stay tuned as we move on to our next segment of the episode. Enjoy!
Welcome to the interview portion of the episode. Today we're going to be interviewing our co-host Crossbow Dan, and I guess I'll start off with the first question. Simple one for you. How old are you?
28, closer to 29.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What is your favorite video game, Dan?
Ooh. I would say probably Star Wars Battlefront 2, not the remake, the original.
It's a good choice.
This one's pretty random. What is your favorite mythical creature?
This
It's a
is
solid question, though. I like it.
this is pretty close. It's a close tie between a Liger, just because I have to say that because of Napoleon Dynamite,
Mhm.
but probably the Pegasus
Okay.
winged horse.
Are you looking forward to? Looking forward to 2021. Are you looking forward to anything in particular?
No, because if it's going to be like this year, then no, there's nothing to look forward to, and who knows what
Okay.
it's going to be like.
Right.
All right. Marvel or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Okay.
Favorite. So favorite Star Wars character besides Vader.
To my friends out there watching, it's Ray. She's the best. No, for real. Probably Obi-Wan.
Get a little closer to your mic.
Okay, it's probably Obi-Wan.
Okay. All right. This one might be kind of difficult. It's a pretty deep question, Dan. A male and a female, one for each. Who are the most influential people on your life?
It's tough. Let's see. So, a male who's had the most influence on my life. I would say probably my older brother, Justin. Always looked up to him as a child. For a female, it's tough. It's really hard to say.
And if you
I mean, I'm
can't
just gonna
randomly.
be cheesy and go with my mom.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna go completely opposite and do fuck, marry, kill. Raph, Mikey, or Donatello.
You marry Mikey. He's the funniest. He's the one you can spend most time with. Uh, I think you fuck Raphael. Is gonna have the most energy, and then I guess you got to kill Donatello.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you're a big horror movie fan or horror book fan, but if you had to pick one monster or like villain of a horror media, I guess, who is your favorite?
Ooh, like most terrifying or just like
The one that you find the most interesting.
okay. It's not really a monster, but like so for horror movies, I kind of like the psychological thrillers more than I do the gore, the slashers. So I'd
Mhm.
probably go with Hannibal Lecter as a villain.
Okay, that's a good one.
Give me like the top 5 anime that you've watched, if you watched 5.
Okay, let's see. Top 5 anime. So, let's see. Starting number oh, I'm not going to give them in a random order because I just got to think, or like in a ranked order. I'll just give them
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
just off the top. Uh,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball. It's got to be top 5 up there. My Hero's probably up there. It's probably the newest one. Um, Naruto Shippuden. Uh, I like Shippuden more than the other ones. But
Well,
they're
yeah. I mean,
basically
that's
the same
pretty.
mark, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You're fair.
let's see. Uh, probably like Death Note. Just kind of throw something else in there. Probably Bleach. Those are all pretty popular, so I feel like there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah, you
small
didn't
one.
really go any. Yeah, it's. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all good. It's
crazy.
hard to watch a lot of the
Yeah.
under.
All right.
Girls
What?
Bravo, honorable mention. Just seen one episode
Yeah.
though.
Have you watched that one, Coop?
I think we were drunk watching it at Aaron's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I have. It's great. What is your favorite? I don't know why I can't even think of the terminology. Like Star Wars vehicle.
I mean, I got probably go with an X-wing. I kind of have to. I personally, I like the coloration on Poe's X-wing from episode 7,
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it like black
black and
and
orange.
orange?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an X-wing literally there.
The next wing over
There's
here.
my Lego one's right there.
Look at us.
Okay, my turn, I guess.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna kind of make this 2-part. What's your favorite Digimon / Pokemon?
So, you want both or just the Digimon
Yeah,
or the
I want
Pokemon?
one. I want one of each. Yes.
Okay, so
I figured instead of making this 2 questions, I'd just make it a
I
2-part
mean,
one.
I'd say when I was a kid, I was always um, like an Angelmon fan. Was it Angemon? Is that-
Angemon, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair.
An-
It's a good
Angemon.
underrated one.
Yeah. And then for Pokemon, let's see. This is a big just because of the game. I always like to have a I guess it's a Crobat or like that evolution arc on my team. I don't know why.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fun. So I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
All right, this one's a little deep, Dan. What is your biggest regret in life?
Oh, gosh, that's tough. To all the girls I had a crush on in middle school, too big. No. Uh, I'd probably say choosing to go to MSU instead of some other opportunities that I had. Not that MSU was bad, but I think I chose it for the wrong reasons. I think I would have had better opportunities elsewhere.
Sure.
Why the Cowboys?
It's a familial thing. Not that I'm close with my grandpa on my mom's side, but it was his, and I'm pretty sure I got it from him. It was his favorite team. So
I get that. I was kind of same for me.
not at all close with him. I just think that's where it came from.
Cool.
Stole this one from an interview website. You're a new addition to the crayon box. What color would you be and why?
So I'm feeling like I'm a shade of green, like maybe like dollar bill green, like a pale kind of green.
Why?
I'm all about that paper.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You're hired.
Red pill or blue pill?
That's tough. Because I think at the moment you go, you try to, you think you want to escape from the Matrix, but I'm definitely gonna go with like knowing I would want to stay in. So that's blue pill, right?
I don't remember which one's which, but yeah.
Neither do I. But yeah, I would stay in the Matrix. That's
fair.
It's
It's an easy solution.
Yep.
What is your favorite comic book story / event?
Ooh.
I mean, you can pick one or the other. I just like maybe you have like an event, or you're like there's just this one specific story that's my favorite.
So, okay, there is actually a comic book titled by my last name, and it's about this like guy who's just pretty much like just a good Samaritan. He's like not really super powered or anything. He's just like a decent guy. And I think he helps a little girl find his dog. And it's the only like I've read it because it was like titled by my last name. But yeah, that's my favorite story. One, because of my last name, two, because it's like it's a comic book, but like it's nothing spectacular. It's just about being a good person.
Fair. Damn, I kind of ran out of questions. When was the last time you cried?
Let's see. So it's 9 p.m., 10 p.m. now. So like 8. Yeah. No, I really was in my feels right before this, just jamming music. Wasn't really crying, but that's kind of how it works.
This is close, very emotional. Okay, that's good.
Yep.
Okay. Was there ever like a name when you were young that you wish was your name, and then you look back on it now and you're like, why the fuck would I have wanted that to be my name?
I don't know.
So like, for example, when I was young, I for whatever reason wanted my name to be Spike. And I look back on it now, I'm like, why the fuck would I? If there's any Spikes out there, no offense. But
I think you're just a weird kid, Cooper. I can't think of like I've never wanted my name to be something that it's not.
No?
I mean, it like if I got pulled over by the cops tomorrow and they asked me, "Do you have any aliases?" I'd probably say something like, "Yeah, they call me the White Jalapeno" or something. But I wouldn't be like, "Yeah, they call
Okay,
me."
well, let me rephrase
Dylan.
that. Because maybe I made it too specific. If your name wasn't Dan, what would you want your name to be?
Let's see.
Guess I poked too far down my childhood. Damn.
Yeah.
When you said
Probably
Spike,
something with a lot of X's in it, like something really hard to pronounce. Maybe Xander or something. Xander
Just
spelled
like-
with an X.
just like a fucking typical COD gamer tag.
Yeah.
Triple X fucking.
Yeah. What's
Bong Ripper 69XXX.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when he said Spike, did you think of the fucking dog from Rugrats, Dan?
I
That's what my
thought
mind
of
immediately
the
went to.
vampire from Buffy.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I thought about the dinosaurs. Yeah, oh my god, I can't even think of that animated dinosaurs movie.
Land Before Time. That's
Yes.
a good one too.
Pretty sure
Very
that's why I was like, we wanted it.
How about your favorite memory as a kid?
Let's see. That's tough.
Or I guess best, I don't know, the most memorable moment, something, like top echelon that you can come back to.
I remember fishing on like a couple different places. Like there's a pond. I don't know where it was, but I went with my whole family. That was really fun. I went fishing on Lake Michigan. That was really fun. It's a memory from my childhood that I like. Yeah, I think that's all I can really think of.
Little shameless plug for yourself. How can fans or people connect with you if they want to talk to you?
So you can find me on Facebook as Crossbow Dan or on YouTube as Crossbow Dan as well.
Okay.
Or
What
my
is your-
address is come visit me at
Wait.
home.
What kind of content do these guys get to see on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'm trying to do everything at the moment. Just seeing what sticks. Got some streaming, a lot of COD, a little bit of Among Us on there. I bought some super cool cards that I've been unboxing from 3011. Just stuff like that.
All
A
right.
couple conspiracy theories here and there. Normal stuff.
What would your dream career be? And that's
Okay,
taking away like money, like if you could just as a profession out of enjoyment.
So like unrealistically, I got two answers to this. The unrealistic one is I would want to be like a spy or assassin.
Okay.
That the thing I think I'm best suited for though, and that I could potentially do, though like I the pre-steps to it involve getting like being part of an authority that I don't want to be a part of. So that's why I haven't taken those steps, haven't done it. But I think I would make a really good private investigator.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I can find anything out about you, Cooper. Proven this.
Mhm.
Fair point. Let's see. How about who's your favorite turtle? I feel like I remembered this one, but
Michelangelo.
okay. That's what too. Why though? Give me like a good description.
I mean, he's the best one. It's like
But why do you love him?
he just has the best personality out of all of them. I do simp a little bit for Donatello more than most people, but like Leonardo just seems kind of bland. I don't have the same like anger issues that Raph does. I get people like when people would say
Like Raph.
Raph is their favorite. I'm like, ooh, you got anger problems. Like it's usually true, but no, definitely Michelangelo. Just like the chillest, it's just the most relatable.
So I kind of feel bad for people, or I kind of feel bad for Leo at this point because everyone just like discards him as like he's just a generic leader, and I guess he's kind of bland, but Can't tell me katanas aren't cooler than nunchucks.
Well,
Yeah.
Leonardo's my favorite, so
Oh, sounds about right for Cooper.
Yeah.
pretty bland,
Super
boring,
boring as
pretty
shit, yeah.
generic.
Yep.
No, I've always followed like the blue, like color scheme. I guess like as a kid,
I mean,
My
there's
brother-
nothing.
my
wrong
brother
with
always did the
having
red.
a leader.
It's just like I was just thinking about it because, again, everyone loves Mikey, Raph, and Donnie seems to get more love than Leo, but it kind of makes me feel
Yeah.
bad for Leo.
If you went to prison, what do you think it's most likely for?
Ooh. I probably tried to embezzle money. It was definitely a financial crime. That money was involved. I was either stealing, like selling something I wasn't supposed to, or committing some sort of fraud.
That's a good one. So in that case, if you are embezzling money and somehow you find out before you get arrested, where are you going? Like, what country are you ditching out to?
Let's see. Probably Hong Kong, because do they not have an extradition treaty with the United
Oh.
States?
I don't remember. I was just trying to. I think so, but
Yeah, probably that then.
All right, playing off that still. Say you got caught, and they put you in life, put you in jail for life. I asked Jeremy this last time too. What would be your death row meal? You get one main course. Let's just make it kind of easy. One main course, one side, one dessert.
I'm gonna go with pufferfish because there's like a chance the chef cooks it wrong and I die from that, ruining the satisfaction of the executioner, which would be my final like troll aha moment. Um, my side would be probably mashed potatoes, like garlic, a little butter in there.
What about scallop potatoes? You love those.
Screw those. And then a dessert. Probably go. Let's see. I mean, just like a gallon of ice cream. Vanilla. Just really plain. But I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
so they have to sit there and watch you eat a whole gallon of ice cream.
Yes.
It's a good choice. What about the drink though? He forgot that part of it.
I did.
I don't know if they allow alcohol.
Oh,
But,
Yeah,
we'll
I said
allow
if
it in
you
this
could,
in
too.
this scenario.
Okay, yeah, probably just like some vodka lemonade.
Solid choices.
Was that your question, Jeremy? Was it the drink?
No.
Okay. I was like, shit.
If you're trapped, okay, so obviously you get deserted on an island. If you had a magical bag that could get you 5 items, what items are you grabbing? Non-rescue items, something you'll just never leave this island.
Let's see. So probably just like 5 random items. They can't be like survival items. Are we staying away from survival items?
Let's go with it. Like, you have your basic survival needs taken care of. More like, what items would you have to entertain yourself?
Okay.
My
So
bad.
probably, let's see. I'd probably just go like 5 books. Let's see. There's no good 5-book series that I can think of, so let's go with Ender's Game as one of the books, so I can read that a few times. Let's see. I'm gonna stick away from mystery books because once you know the mystery, you don't really want to read them again. Like that genre. Let's see. Can I get like those little ball in a cup things? Get a ball in a cup. That'll be a good thing. I'll entertain myself with that for a while. So that's 2. trying to think of more books to read. Probably like Einstein's Theory of Relativity book. Just because like I'm gonna be reading that for ages and not really fully understand it, so I'll just keep on reading it.
There you go.
Let's see. No, what do we got? Like 2 more items? I don't even know.
Gotta bring your dog.
No. I ended up eating him.
That's okay.
I want him on an island with me. I can't even think of anything else. Like maybe a solar panel, and because solar panels don't output a ton of electricity, a Tamagotchi.
There you go.
I'll see how long it lives, and that'll be how long I live.
Sure, I like it.
All right, Jeremy, we'll do one more question each. So, this last one, there could be any time period besides now that you would have to live in. Which one would you want to live in?
Like probably sometime in the next century, because they'll be able to download my brain into computers. Or are you talking prior?
Yeah, you can't cheat.
Okay.
Gotta go backwards.
Yeah.
You had to pick a past historic era.
But time travel is his favorite.
Let's see.
I know he'd probably do it all wrong.
I guess the 80s, because it's the closest actually now. I don't know. I never really wanted to be in the past. Like some people, like that would have been my time.
I'd like to live in the 30s.
I know everyone answers like the 20s, and I'm like, you realize what we're living in right now is basically the 20s, and it just sucks. It's terrible.
Technically, we're living in the 20s.
Yeah.
The only reason I'd ever even want to go back is for some cars, but like I just don't.
Still, they're probably not all that great.
I mean,
you'd be like,
Well, the thing too is like, look at our nerd, just the nerds as we are now. Like, look at all the Marvel shit and fucking Star Wars shit coming out. Like,
fucking exist.
exactly. Just go, especially if you had any knowledge of what you already lived. It's like, well, now I have to wait 40 years for these instead of months.
Tell people how cool Batman is, and everybody's like,
Who's
"What the fuck? Shut the fuck up." Got like Batman tattoos, and they're like, "What are tattoos?"
Where you say Black Lives Matter and you get shot.
Probably would happen.
Yeah.
That's very fair.
All right, final question, Jeremy. Where we wrap this bad boy up.
If you could erase one thing from existence, what would it be and why?
Like a general concept, or like does it have to be a physical thing?
I don't really care. You could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be a concept of something.
The idea of something.
Yeah, anything your mind can. First thing that pops to your mind, so whatever.
I would just say like the concept of nationalism. I think it's like divisive, not only for like inside of countries, but worldwide. Like if you rep your nation, I mean, it makes other people different. So I don't like that concept of like, I'm an American, I'm this sort of thing. I've never seen it like that.
Oh,
I don't really like it.
yeah, again, I mean, I'm kind of, I get you.
Okay. Well, that puts us pretty close here to 30 minutes, so I feel like that's a pretty good stopping point. So that's the end of that interview. On the next episode, you guys will be interviewing me. And I guess until then, we will transition over into our final segment where we discuss our top 10 favorite comic book villains. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you for listening to the Daggum Podcast. There are new episodes available every Monday on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Anchor. More platforms will become available soon. Stay tuned as we move on to our next segment of the episode. Enjoy!
Welcome to our third and final segment where we're going to be going over our top 10 favorite comic book villains. We're going to kind of go in a circle here. I'll start with my 10th. I'll jump over to Dan here, and then we'll go down to Jeremy, and we'll kind of just rotate like that. So I'll go ahead and start off. So my number 10 is going to be from Marvel Comics. It's actually going to be the Hobgoblin. So I don't know. He's always been, and it's kind of more maybe of an aesthetic. I do like him as a character. I do really like the Green Goblin as a character, but to me, Hobgoblin almost was like a better Green Goblin to me. I liked him a lot more than just the standard Green Goblin, and so I kind of just rank him above Green Goblin as kind of one of the better Spider-Man villains. And he's just kind of plain fun as a character, I guess. Especially from like the animated series, just like that kind of brought it for me. But it feels like they were able to pull from the comics really well. You know, they kind of replicated the Hobgoblin character very well. So that's my number 10.
Okay. My personal opinion on the Hobgoblin is he was too similar to the Goblin, and so it kind of watered both down for Spider-Man villains. He's not a bad character. I do like the futuristic Hobgoblin, so like the Spider-Man, what is it, 2099?
2099.
Yeah, that Hobgoblin is a very good Hobgoblin. I think probably my favorite iteration of him. But for like the standard, Amazing Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man Hobgoblins.
Sure.
It felt like there were too many goblins. That's just how I felt, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't like him as much as the Green Goblin. I kind of think my favorite Goblin, at least at this point, is probably the Ultimate Universe, the big ass Goblin that Miles gets to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty fun. So.
Sure. All right, Dan. What's your number 10?
My number 10, little obscure character, but I just love the concept of what he tried to do. Crazy Quilt from Batman. For those of you guys unfamiliar with Crazy Quilt, he is basically his whole concept is color. I believe he was a thief / painter. Got caught in an explosion, lost his ability to see color. He might have even went fully blind for a minute. And so his big crime, what he wanted to do, was steal the concept of color from Gotham, which is just crazy, and I love that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against him as a character. He's a little fucking out there, but no, he's...
all Batman villains are, but that's just...
I mean, yeah,
just insane.
It's true. No.
It's like, I'm going to steal the concept of color.
He's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's a good one. What about you, Jeremy?
He's a little wacky for me. Just not. I don't know.
I wouldn't consider him like my favorite.
I mean, we weren't saying best. We're saying favorite.
That's true. I still don't care. Like my favorite's got to be something that's like, I don't know.
It's got to have substance, Dan. No.
All
right, Jeremy.
Like a weird guy.
No.
Okay, so my number 10, also a Marvel villain, the Lizard from Spider-Man, Dr. Kurt Connors. He's always just been really cool. Another scientist, just trying to grow his arm back. He's had some really wicked storylines. He ate his kid, and one of them that was probably one of my favorite ones, having to deal with. I'm trying to remember exactly how that one went, but he, I don't know. Plus, there's nothing cooler than being a 10-foot giant lizard crawling around the sewers and trying to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah. The one thing I think this applies to several Spider-Man villains that I do like about the Lizard as well as other Spider-Man villains. He has a certain duality to him where it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing that a lot of Spider-Man villains have, where a certain side of him is a good guy and a really good guy, and he wants to,
Right.
you know, help. He's like, yeah, it's selfish to grow my arm back, but imagine if this works. All
Right.
these people I could help, and so he does it for a good reason, and it ends up going bad, which I think is a common thing in Spider-Man villains. But it makes you relate to the villains and being like, wasn't a
Right.
bad guy. He was just, got in a situation
Yeah.
that turned him that way.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
like, and again, I feel like I'm more familiar with the DC comics, of course, but who I'd kind of compare him with, where I could say, yeah, I mean, I like that concept, is probably Man Bat.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah,
that scientist
make that
character,
fair.
doing the experiment um, for the better, and it ends up biting you in the ass, and not his choice to where he becomes that character, but just kind of the way it goes. So there is kind of that duality. I think the Lizard probably more so has maybe that duality.
Yeah.
I feel like the Man Bat maybe is a little bit more evil, whereas like the Lizard, he's
Doesn't have
evil
the
of course, but I don't know. I see the human aspect of him maybe more when he's the Lizard.
Yeah,
So
that's
no,
fair.
yeah, that's a good one. Jumped in my number 9. I actually kind of shocked myself. I mean, just throughout this list, but I'd probably say Lex Luthor. Um, I'm not a huge Superman fan. Like that universe in general, I have a hard time with Superman, and so I think with that being said, I think that's probably why I like Lex Luthor so much. Is because honestly, if I'm reading a Superman comic, most of the time I'm rooting for Lex Luthor kind of on the other end. Not that Superman's like a bad person, but I
No,
just don't
he
like
is.
his character, and so I like Lex Luthor, being against him. I think my favorite kind of thing to, I guess maybe my favorite saying when comparing the two is, Superman is a god who wants to become a man, and Lex Luthor is a man who wants to become a god. And I think that kind of, I guess, conflicting nature between the two is why it makes it a very good duo. Again, I'm always rooting for Lex Luthor over Superman, just because I tend to like villains for the most part, anyways. But he's such a genius, I think he's just an absolute genius, and I feel like he's just such a great character and such a good villain. And I don't know, I think he's just great. I enjoy him a lot.
So he does appear on my list as well, and I'll talk more about him then, about my opinions to him. I will say one thing about Lex Luthor that I do love is him becoming president at one point.
Yeah,
I feel like we're in a very similar
yeah.
situation right
I was gonna say that too. Is almost more so now is like any reading that I do that involves Lex Luthor, even from like some of the older comics, I feel like it relates a lot kind of to today, because he is kind of. I mean, I don't mean to call Jeff Bezos Lex Luthor, but he kind of is that Jeff Bezos kind of guy where, to me, he's not really out for anybody else but himself. He's trying to be the number one source in the world just for anything, like being the smartest, the most powerful, just being the greatest, I guess, at anything. And so when Superman comes down, he's threatened. He's like, well, with Superman here, he's the number one. But Lex Luthor, 100%, and could absolutely exist in America of of the 2020s.
Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much agree. I really like you guys have mentioned, like the just kind of yin and yang between, Luthor and Superman. I feel like he is probably one of the best things to come out of Superman.
Mhm.
Not that I mean, the idea of Superman's pretty great, but he has such a good villain just because he doesn't, it's just this self-made guy that wants to be an even bigger badass and take down this godly alien.
Mm-hmm.
So
But I feel like he does kind of point out he does kind of point out the errors with Superman, being
Right.
this all powerful. I mean, in a way, he's doing it to better himself, but Superman comes down, and all of a sudden, we're looking to him as kind of a god replacement. We're looking at him to do everything for us, and is that really a good thing to have in human nature, to be codependent on somebody like that? Like, he points that out to be like, no, we can't rely on a god, because what's going to happen if he leaves, or what's going to happen if he's not all good and powerful? He becomes powerful and all bad. Like, you guys are going to be praising this guy, and it's going to fuck you over in the end. I don't know. I just like him a lot as character. Anyways, yeah, go ahead. Number 9.
My number 9 from Marvel Comics, Spider-Man villain, Mr. Negative. And
Okay.
so it's what I mentioned with Jeremy's, that duality sort of thing that I like in a lot of Spider-Man villains. I think he embodies it probably the most. I mean, it's kind of his thing. Martin Lee runs Feast, a soup kitchen. Probably one of the most upstanding guys in the comics. He seems like a really great guy. And then you have his alternate version, Mr. Negative, a gang leader who can corrupt anyone. And I like that about him. I like his ability where the stronger, like, the better person you are, the worse he can make you. So, like, you take someone who's already bad, he tries to corrupt them. It's like, doesn't really do much. Gives them, like, strength and durability, but doesn't really do much towards the corrupting of them. But when he affects Spider-Man in the comics, it turns Spider-Man just, like, extremely evil. And so that's a cool power thing. It's a very yin-yang approach to one character. And so that's why he's my number 9.
Yeah. I like him a lot, so I can't really. Yeah, he's a very good choice. Like you said, Spider-Man villains are probably going to come up a lot just because their relatability and they have that. Again, you see that human side in them a lot, and it's hard not to again equate that with yourself as a human being, because you see your again, as Mr. Negative side, your negative side. Like, I mean, I'm the anger correspondent for a reason. I get angry sometimes, so.
Yeah, no, I think Mr. Negative's a good choice as well. I honestly I didn't even really think about him. Like, when I was going through, there's just so many. Yeah, there's just so many goddamn characters. But no, that's a good one. I'm glad that you brought him up. About you, Jeremy?
So my 9 is Ultron. I love every comic book that pretty much contains Ultron. The Age of Ultron is a very fantastic storyline.
Yeah.
It introduces a very fantastic, like, Young Avengers kind of thing. There's that, I don't know. Again, I mean, everything, and especially in this day and age, like, all the AI, uprising storylines are usually pretty great, and Ultron was just probably one of my first introductions to that. So he's very intimidating in most of the things you see him in. That face does really well.
Yeah, I think his character has aged really well.
Yeah.
As a villain, I feel like maybe he probably wasn't appreciated as much coming out. I think, as like you were saying, with the day and age and technology that we have now compared to what existed when he was made. I mean, I'm sure them going through their mind probably wasn't really possible, like, to actually think it could actually be a thing. But in reality, it's not too far-fetched to, like, have a almost sentient being to have a mind of their own and be able to do that on, like, a government standpoint. I feel like a government could damn well make a sentient machine that may be kind of the mother device that has control to all of these things. And if you give it too much power, it could eventually machine learn and, I mean, take over.
Right, and it kind of comes back to, I know we say this about Spider-Man, like we said about Spider-Man villains. You see the reason why. Like Hank, he originally created, or Ultron was just basically the security guards for Hank Pym's prison. And you give them some sentience, and then they're like, well, hey, the reason you guys are so fucked up is because you exist. So, like, why not eradicate the problem at its source?
Sure.
I don't know. It's very fun to look at and think about.
Yeah, no, he's a good one.
I think he also translated well to the movie. The
Oh, yeah.
main difference being, Tony Stark creates him instead of Hank Pym.
Oh.
But it transferred really well. So I
Yeah, it
like
did.
Ultron. And, someone call Andrew Yang because he's the only hero that can really save us,
That's true.
Right.
It may be too late. All right. Where are we at now? Number 8?
Number
Yep.
8.
Number 8. So number 8 is going to be coming from the DC universe again. And I don't know. I was going to say I feel like he's pretty underrated, but maybe not necessarily. I just think maybe he's underused, but is Hush. I think Hush and that storyline was, I don't know, it was a very good way to kind of bring you're kind of able to flash back to Bruce's past, being a childhood best friend, being in that living situation, and of course everything that happened to Bruce, and then being kind of separated, and then growing up and kind of coming back together. And of course Hush, spoiler alert if you guys didn't know, but it is his childhood best friend. And I think the idea, I don't know if it's necessarily realistic, but in the comics I feel like it translates really well, is him being a plastic surgeon, and kind of being able to manipulate all these existing villains into kind of scheming into this master plan, and then kind of fucking over Batman in the end, and playing as Hush being Harvey Dent, and Hush, Joker killing Hush, and then he's revealed to be Harvey Dent. You're like, well, okay, was Harvey Dent really him? But then you realize, Hush is behind it, being with the plastic surgery. He's able to really, I think, fuck with Batman the most. Bring Robin back to life and become all these different characters, and again manipulate these villains such as like Clayface. He kind of has that same ability to kind of embody another character. I think he was kind of able to bring a lot of other aspects from a lot of the other Batman villains. And I think he knew Bruce so much on the personal level to really fuck with him, I think, the most. And I just think it translated really well in the end in that Hush storyline.
I would say, given his power sets, I think Clayface is a little bit better, as a comparable Batman villain.
Sure.
Like, transfer, be someone else basically, enact and embody a different person. Other than that, I really don't have any strong opinions about Hush. I would not put him in my top 10 personally. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I don't know. To me, he's not as big as far as like Batman villains go, but I kind of get the concept and why you enjoy him.
Yeah, I mean, just comparing him to Clayface, I feel like maybe he brings more of a, again, we kind of keep bringing this up, but that relatable factor. It's a childhood best friend. It's not just kind of a random guy, and kind of that not necessarily realistic ability to just transform into somebody, being made of clay with Clayface. Like, it's cool seeing that, but I don't know. I think maybe the more realistic, being able to put somebody else's face on, I don't know, kind of adds to that like kind of creepy factor that you're like, it's kind of,
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's more grounded in realism, so it's like,
yeah. That's why I put him over Clayface, because they are pretty similar, but obviously he's more familiar with Bruce Wayne, and it just kind of adds that more realistic factor to it. Anyways, what about you, Dan? Number 8.
So my number 8, another Spider-Man villain. So from Marvel, not just Spider-Man though, also a huge Daredevil villain, and that's Kingpin. And I feel like if I had the money and the tastes that Kingpin had, that's what I would do. That's just what I would do with it. Start a criminal empire, but also keep a political side and be like, yeah, it's not really me controlling this. Maybe some people know. Like Matt Murdock knows, Peter Parker knows. No one else really knows. Also, I'm running for office, trying to just, control things. Trying to start a crime empire. I just think his ambition is what makes me like him.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree. I think the likability of him, and you don't necessarily blame him for what he's doing. Like, maybe he doesn't necessarily have the best intentions, but at the same time, with what he's given and what's going on in his world, you're like, I don't know. If I was in that situation, that might be the best option. I mean, you can kind of see it from his standpoint.
No, Kingpin's a badass, man, and like I really like his origin too. Just being this kind of mistreated, and I mean he was just always a big kid too. Like it's like, and then just kind of rise up the ranks and with the abusive dad and shit, and just made one hell of a man out of himself.
Yep.
Go toe to toe physically with pretty much anyone, and criminal mastermind.
All muscle. Ain't no.
He doesn't. I mean, he's so much muscle. He doesn't even have a neck.
Yeah.
Plus, other than the actual Daredevil movie, I don't think there's a rendition of Kingpin that I don't really care for. And even the Daredevil Kingpin wasn't bad. I think that movie leaves a bad taste. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, number 8. Number 8 for you.
So mine goes. I went with Norman Osborn completely, like not just the Green Goblin, because I really like him in like Dark Avengers as the the badass there. He's the Green Goblin. Had obviously killed Gwen Stacy, or well, kind of around a background way killed Gwen Stacy. Had some babies with her first, just rub in the dirt to Peter, and yeah, he's not a nice dude. Plus, William Dafoe, kind of, I don't know, that sticks in your head as part of it. I know.
It adds to it.
I know, but it just adds to it. It does.
Yeah.
It's so hard not to like think about it when you're thinking of these comic books, and especially like after you've seen the movie and you start reading it, you hear his voice. So
yeah, well, it's hard for me to give any big opinions, and maybe this is why I chose Hobgoblin over Green Goblin, because I honestly haven't had too much experience with the Green Goblin, maybe as much as you have. I feel like most of my Green Goblin experience has been mostly like in the media portion of Spider-Man. Of what I've read of him, I've liked it, but maybe I haven't picked the right stories. I didn't know about the Gwen Stacy shit. Like, that's like the ultimate fucking just fucked up thing that a villain could do. Impregnate and then kill her. It's like just to fucking spite. Peter. I don't know.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Of course, you have. Is it the Goblin Island story? I don't remember, but it's yeah, I don't know.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one.
He's one of the. Yeah, exactly. The other thing I love about him, he's one of the few Spider-Man villains that you don't really ever see a good side to. Like he's just kind of bad to be bad because he wants to be bad, Like, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
Yeah,
it's kind of a good change of pace, like for Spider-Man villain. And then again, you also have the one in the Ultimates universe that's just a big badass Goblin, super steroided Goblin.
actually like the Norman Osborn as sort of an anti-hero, like when he's leading the Thunderbolts or doing those sort of things. It's definitely a deep character throughout all of comics. So like Norman Osborn is a great character.
He's one of the few
Several
that, like, that changes. I feel like he changes enough to, like, he has so many different, like, alleys you can go with him, you know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, most of the guys in the Spider-Man, like, realm are just very intelligent people, like, in general. I don't know. It's crazy how these guys get so fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're just fucking written so well. All right. So to number 7. Again, I'm pulling from DC, in the Batman universe. I think I would really like. What's that?
Seeing some trendy stuff here.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing some trendy stuff from you guys too.
I don't know.
It's Victor Zsasz. I know he isn't. I know he's not typically thought of as like an A-list villain. For the most part, he's probably B, maybe even considered a C-list villain. But I feel like in all of the comics that I've read with him, he's just so fucking creepy. Like, and again, he's not unrealistic. He's not an unrealistic villain. Like, he doesn't have any care in the world for human life. Like you can tell, like, for example, when he fucking kills people, like, his victims he just calls them zombies. Like, he doesn't think of them as anything. Like, they're fucking worthless to him. It's all about the hunt. Like, he's just out to kill. And I think just the idea of, especially in the Batman universe, the idea of just a straight up psychopathic serial killer, I just love it because it's just fucking scary. It's just creepy. And so I like the idea of Batman not chasing somebody in a weird costume. It's like straight up like, all right, there's a serial killer on the loose. Batman, you gotta fucking figure this shit out.
I think he's very physically intimidating, a very skilled killer.
Mm-hmm.
My only issue with him is, to make a good story, you usually have to pair him with someone who's a little bit more of a mastermind type.
Sure.
So it's hard to make a great story with just him. And that's my only issue with him.
Right. He'd be very good for, like, Criminal Minds, but not necessarily against Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I kind of get that. He's like to me, he's the less maniacal Joker, though, kind of, like, he just does whatever he wants and whatever, like, knocks off whoever he gets in his way, but not in necessarily as much of a fun way. More of a creepy, realistic way, but I don't know. Joker's shit's kind of, I mean, it's mostly realistic. Well, I don't know. You could do a lot of shit the Joker does, but his is a lot more wacky, like, make you eat a grenade and then watch it blow up.
Yeah. I think it's just like maybe kind of the horror side of me that I really enjoy. Right. And of course I have like a big interest in like real life serial killers and like what makes them do that. And so seeing that translated, into comic books, and he doesn't have superpowers, like, it'd be, I don't know, it's just super cool to see that. It's obviously fucked up, and obviously
I see the allure to it.
It's just cool.
What you got, Dan?
So we're on number 7. My number 7, again from Marvel Comics. 3 in a row. Don't worry, it separates. It's not all Marvel. This isn't a Spider-Man villain though, so different than the last 2. This is actually a villain specifically of Sentry. Does play into, I think, the Fantastic Four. Let's consider him a villain, and I think Avengers at one point. The Void. And the reason I like the Void is because you take a Superman-esque character in Sentry, and he does all this good for the world, and then the dark side of him comes out and erases all of it. So everything good that Sentry does, the Superman-type character does, immediately gets erased by the same sort of the same person. They're different entities, and they do eventually separate and that sort of thing. But that balance that they have is makes them an intriguing character for me.
Yeah, I haven't read enough on the Void to like go fully into detail, but the stuff I have read and like knowing of him is, again, like it's a very yin and yang character. Like it's kind of fun to see the, you have the creation and the destruction, and he's just he's a badass looking character too. Ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I think it's a unique choice. I think the having both sides of that, having the ability to do all this good and being able to have the power to just kind of turn around and just reverse it. I think that makes it into the Void being such a unique character, I guess. So yeah, no, I think that's a cool choice.
My number 7 is not very unique, but he is probably he's one of my favorite villains of all time, is Doc Ock. Another fucking scientist just trying to do some, do some good here and there. Ends up having some crazy ass accent and has some mechanical arms. One of my favorite storylines is, the Spider-Man 700, when Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's mind, fucking kicks him out of his own body. Like, I mean, who has done that?
Ginger, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and just he makes Spider-Man a better Spider-Man for a little. I mean, I shouldn't say better morally, but like as far as like efficiency, and
Well, when Peter Parker gets his equipment back and like gets the suit back, he's
yeah,
better. He just has
yeah,
better stuff. Like
yeah,
Doc Ock
exactly.
goes in and makes like better web
Well,
shooters. And
think about it this way: he puts Peter Parker as a human being in a better place. Starts a tech company, fucking. It's just crazy, man. Like, I mean, I don't know, and it's cool because you see Doc Ock. I mean, especially like, I mean, after all the battles and stuff, he's decrepit and like, I mean, he's just dying, and it was a really cool way to keep him in. And the Spear Spider-Man's a great, you know, hero slash maybe anti-hero. Um, I don't know. There's just nothing that he did wrong in that, like in that storyline for me. Not to mention all the other ones. Like he just does great work. I love watching him, like, just have to deal with the dimwits and the some of the Sinister Six. I can't even say it, but he's always the mastermind behind all that. So he's just a fun one to read, and obviously all the media is too. He's fun.
Yeah, no, I think he's a all around pretty solid choice just in general. I think he probably is one of the best. I mean, at least probably top 3. I mean, Spider-Man villains just in general. Um, I don't know, the human side of him before he becomes Doc Ock. The relationship he has with Peter just really adds to that. And when you see what he becomes, it's like sad, but it becomes like really cool. I mean, it's like, he finally did it. He finally figured it out, but at the same time, it's like I don't think he was realizing what he was getting into, but now he's embracing it. And I think that's what adds so much to the story of the character. I think that obviously the way they wrote it, but I think
Right.
Yeah, no, he's a good choice for sure.
yeah, I really like Doc Ock. I think, I mean, the storyline where he takes over Peter's body is probably the best version of Doc Ock, even though it's like he is Spider-Man and not Spider-Man at the same time.
Right. Well, and I feel like there's such an appreciation grown from that too, like, because like, I mean, obviously they've been battling out for so long, and then he takes over and he sees, as much as he's been battling and as hard as it's been to battle Spider-Man, Spider-Man's been doing this all while being a college student, all this other stuff, and he finally realizes like what Peter's had to put up with. And it's like, I don't know, it goes from just like straight up being a villain to being, I don't know, again back to kind of a friend. Like it's just a big old, come
Yeah.
around circle. Man.
Allows him to kind of take a step into Peter's shoes and see what it's like going through what he goes through. Yeah.
Mm.
I think good. Yeah.
Imagine just again, you're trying to work a job, go to college, and then Doc Ock shows up, and he's like, "Well, look what the hell I was doing."
Yeah. Right. Number 6 is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, I don't know. This one was hard because it was. I think it's gonna take somewhat of an explanation. I think maybe the knee-jerk reaction is like he's not a fucking villain, but was Red Sun Superman. And so I know it's kind of weird because it's like, well, I don't know. If you read the whole story in the end, he's not necessarily a villain. But I mean, what happens is, of course, it's a Elseworld story where instead of crashing in the United States, he crashes in Russia when Joseph Stalin was, in charge, of the Soviet Union. And essentially he's just he's under Stalin, and he figures out that Stalin's kind of a corrupt piece of shit. He's been doing all this work for Stalin, and then he realizes how much power he has, and he's like, well, maybe with Stalin out of the picture, I can fix this. Once Stalin is out of the picture, and Red Sun Superman having all of this power, he kind of turns into a Stalin himself, but worse. So instead of, just having the Soviet Union, trying to spread the ideas of communism, it's not that communism is bad, but what Red Sun Superman does is communism is good, and the rest of the world needs to follow, and I'm going to force them into this because I know what's good for the world. He tries to decide what everybody else needs to do. And so, he's going to China, and they're trying to build the Great Wall, and he's fucking knocking the wall down. He says, you're not doing that under my rule. Well, he's not under, he's not ruling over China, but in his eyes, he's like, I'm the all-powerful. I control what happens around the world. And if I have any say, you're not building this wall. Submit to communism. Do what I say. Everything will be great. And so he's essentially becoming a dictator and not allowing the freedom of ideas for anybody to make any choice. And so he becomes kind of this godlike Stalin. And I don't know. To me, he was a villain because he was so consumed in his own power and making everybody do what he thinks is right without actually giving them the option.
Right. You can't classify him as a hero either.
No.
He's forcing his own will upon the whole world, the world. So, yeah, I agree. It's a good one.
So as Superman as a villain, it's an interesting concept. So I'll give you that. It definitely makes for an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer the Injustice Superman as a villain over Red Sun Superman, though.
Sure. No, I could 100% jump into that. I think that's probably one of my favorite Superman storylines is him being the villain. Joker killing Lois, and him being like, well, I have no other care in the world, so I'm just going to start killing shit. And he obviously becomes a villain, and it was great because being all powerful as a villain, I feel like, is a lot better than being all powerful as a hero. It's just it's a lot more intriguing to see somebody all powerful doing bad things, because if they're all good, then there's no risk to it to me. I guess I was more so, I just liked the different take on it, and I just liked that. I think it was the Elseworlds feel to it, and just kind of separating myself from the usual Clark Kent. I was like, I like the idea of it. So I don't know. He was just it probably is my favorite Superman storyline that I've read.
Ready for my number 6?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So this is a DC, changing it up. It's a Batman villain. Um, actually, it's hard for me to consider him a villain because I think a lot of what he does is for the right reasons, and that's kind of a common trope I see in a lot of our choices. But Mr. Freeze, I think he's just trying to save the love of his life. It's like it kind of makes you look into, how far will you go to save someone you love?
Mhm.
Will you, you know, the thing I like about Mr. Freeze is he kind of just wants to be a thief. He doesn't really want to hurt anyone else. He just wants to save, you know, his wife
Yeah.
and the love of his life. And it just makes you question, how far would you go?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Especially with newer age Mr. Freeze. Um, you know, Batman the Animated Series, I think definitely kicked that new era of Mr. Freeze to be more of a serious character, and I think that was obviously for the better, with the the cold heart episode. But um, I think I mean, it's that if this happens and it's out of your control, she gets cancer and dies. Can you fix it? If you have the ability to fix it, how far, yeah, like you said, how far are you willing to go? And I think he becomes the villain or the bad guy because he's not necessarily following the laws. Like, I don't think he's necessarily doing bad things, but in I guess, the civilian eye, him being a thief and maybe killing the people that are in charge and doing whatever he needs to do to make this work makes him viewed as the bad guy. But like you said, him doing that for his wife, you can relate to him and you just feel for him so much. Yeah, I think he's a phenomenal villain for sure.
Yeah, I like the free story. I mean, you guys have pretty much said this. I can't disagree with anything you guys have. I do like Freeze a lot. And again, it comes back to being just that same relatable characteristics that everyone can understand. It's like there's someone in your life you'd be willing to pretty much do anything for, so
Yeah,
you can completely understand why he does it.
for sure. What do you got, Jeremy? Number 6.
So my number 6 completely rounds my trend to not Marvel this time. So it's Batman Who Laughs from the Death Metal series. Um, I love saying Batman as a villain. I mean, we talked about like kind of with the Injustice Superman. It's so hard not to like have enjoyed this so far. I mean, because I haven't finished yet. I don't even know if it is finished yet, but it's I don't know. It's such a good read. Watching him just come up with all these like predicting pretty much what everyone is gonna do, and I don't know. He's just I mean he's like we were talking earlier in the Joker, like the most intimidating Jokers. I mean, he's one of the few that I don't think I mean I could have Superman sitting in front of me and I'm probably gonna be cowering behind him still, very very much so.
Yeah. Um, I can't give as much of an opinion. I haven't gotten as far in that storyline. I haven't finished that. From what I know of him, it being kind of that mashup of the Joker character and kind of morphing Batman in with him as kind of one character, I think is an obviously super cool concept. Again, I can't give too much of an opinion just because I honestly haven't read all the way through the Dark Knight's Metal event yet. So, but no, I think it's a cool choice. I mean, there's a reason he's becoming as popular as he is. So,
I like it as a concept. I don't think he'd crack my top 10. And the only reason is I think as a cool concept goes, the best cool concept of the Joker, I actually think is Martha Wayne as the Joker. Um, I find that a little bit more interesting. And then as alternate Batmans go, I think Owlman is more interesting to me. So it's like it's cool that they combine them, but where it's not the best alternate version of either. To me, that's why I would keep them out of my top 10. But it's a cool concept for sure.
One of my favorite things though is like he just brings all these dark Batmans into it, and it's like you have Batman's just I don't know hunting, the last actual Batman in the Justice League and shit.
I will say I do really like the kind of making a Batman character out of all of like the Justice League characters. I think it's like I almost just said the Deep because of the fucking the boys. But like with like the Aquamanized Batman and the Wonder Womanized Batman, I think it's kind of cool to kind of you have all these different Batmans and you can kind of morph them all into kind of one character. It's just kind of it's a different thing that I feel like we haven't really seen. And it doesn't feel like an alternate version of Joker or anything. I think it's the idea of what would happen if there were one character, maybe.
Right. Well, and like
Versus-
I don't know, he brings so many cool little concepts, like the Robin King. Again, he just has badass little. I don't know, badass little Robin to this badass little, the Joker / Batman, and then I don't know. It's got some. It's probably been some of my favorite DC reads in a little while. So.
True. That's by. Is Jeff Johns one of the writers on that one? I think.
Let me look.
I mean, off the top of my head, I thought I remembered.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
No, it's Snyder. It's Scott Snyder.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like when I was reading it, I just wasn't in the mood. But like the very beginning was really cool with like all the mechs and shit that they were kind of doing, like that big like gladiator type fight that they were doing to get out of there. I think I got kind of out of it a little bit when they were kind of discovering that like nth metal, or I don't know how you fucking pronounce it. That's how I pronounced it. But and Batman was trying to escape and do his own thing. I think maybe my mind was just getting fucking confused what the fuck was happening. I think it was just it was hard for me to comprehend what was going on, so I think I was like, this is kind of too much. It's kind of exhausting my brain what's actually happening. So I think that's kind of why I put it down for a minute.
It's the only problem with having like those Omega level events. It's like you have to have everyone involved, and there's so many different moving pieces you have to try and keep track of. So you almost have to take notes sometimes.
Yeah, I was like just trying to bounce back and forth from Hawkman's storyline to how he like discovered it and why it's what it is, and then jump into present day with Batman kind of being the chosen one to find it and being the only one to. I'll get to it. I will at some point. I'm sure I'll love.
You got a lot to get to there, Cooper.
I know. I'm behind. Okay. All right, so we're jumping to number 5. This one I feel like is kind of a cliche, and me and Dan even kind of talked about it just in general, but I think I love her too much as a character to not include her in this list.
I told you, Jamie.
It's not who you think. It's Catwoman.
I should have figured that.
So me and Dan had discussed Catwoman, where it's like, because we were looking up like list of like where other people ranked all these characters, and Catwoman was really high, and we were both like, well, it's hard to, say she's such a good villain, because she's almost kind of that anti-hero in a way, because she does good sometimes, but in the end, she is a villain. I think she's most interesting as a love interest to Batman. Again, in that Hush storyline is probably one of my favorites. Kind of that relationship, personal side between Selina and Bruce. Because you really see him fighting for it and almost willing to kind of give up who he is as Batman, because obviously he's falling for Catwoman, as kind of stupid as that sounds, but in the end, they realize that they just can't do it. He has Hush on the tip of his finger, and he can just kill him, and he won't. He refuses to. And Catwoman points out the fact that if you're not willing to do that, and I can, that's where we're not going to be able to do this together, is if you can't make the commitment to make that choice, and I can morally. And I don't know, there's just such a conflict between the two. I think it helps kind of with Batman being the hero, kind of sometimes on the verge of being kind of a criminal, and kind of being able to creep into the criminal side in the criminal world of things with Catwoman. It's kind of interesting to see Batman forgive her as she does things like that. Kind of makes him more interesting as a character. I think she's just all around. She adds so much to the Batman storyline and the Batman as a character that I couldn't leave her out.
So I got two things that wouldn't the reason I wouldn't include her in my favorites. One, too similar to Black Cat from Marvel, and I like her better. They're very similar. Their concepts are almost identical. And
Sure.
It's difficult there. The other thing is, as a love interest for Batman, I kind of always preferred Talia.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of that same thing where it's like it kind of pushes him more and more to kind of see the villain side of things. I don't know, it kind of pushes him to kind of that morally gray area where it's like, are you really a good guy because you're kind of allowing this to happen? Or
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I feel like she just does, it lacks originality. Let's put it that way. It's just, I don't see it as unique to me.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Again, I feel like the only thing that sets her to villain most of the time is they usually just look out for themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is fine and dandy. I don't know. They're all right. There's just not really my types of villains that I care, but I do understand your reasoning behind it, because again, it's that it brings you to that brink of like, it makes Batman like really think about what the hell the difference between good and bad is. Like, that you have that moral area where it's like, I mean, most of the time they kill, it's not really like they're killing just random people. They're killing terrible, other horrible, bad people anyway. So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, Catwoman
why the fuck not?
trying to say you need to let Hush die because it's going to be better for everybody else, but selfishly you're deciding to let him live because you refuse to kill. It points out the flaws in Batman, I think. And again, kind of just enhances that character development.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, number 5.
My number 5, back to Marvel. It's an X-Men villain. I just like his aesthetic. I think his look is great. And it's Mr. Sinister. I also think he's just trying to basically craft the perfect being. Being a geneticist and just being like, oh, I need to get that Summers guy DNA and mix it with Jean Grey,
Mm-hmm.
No, he also, like, just the way he just plays with Scott Summers' emotions constantly. Like, creates a clone of Jean at one point. Yeah, just Mr. Sinister, I think it's a good choice.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you're good.
No, you
Go ahead.
good. Oh.
All right, I'll keep
Yeah,
it short.
go.
I honestly don't have too much experience within the X-Men realm of things, just in general. I know.
Horrible, no good, very bad.
And so I really can't really give a fair opinion on it. Honestly, off of the top of my head, I can't even think of what he looks like. So
he looks awesome. He it may have looked cheesy, but I think he looks cool.
The original one's it's a little cheesy, but I get your appeal on it. Like he's
Yeah.
Is
kinda
that
cool.
is it the devil guy?
No, not
Okay.
really.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
you
that was
say
just
that
in my
X-Men, and
head,
I'm like,
but
oh, which one? You know,
I gotta look him up because
Mr. Sinister.
Okay. Okay. I mean, again, I can't give fucking much opinion, but I can agree aesthetically. He looks pretty great.
No, I like him. You know, he's got some good ties in with like Apocalypse too, which
Yep.
like it always
Actually, when I was thinking of this, I'm like, do I go Apocalypse or
right.
Mr.
Yeah,
Sinister here?
Apocalypse was
And
definitely I don't know. He was hard to place slash I don't know, but yeah, I like the idea of Sinister being more of a straight up like basically trying to science Apocalypse versus Apocalypse just having the mutant powers to make
yep,
him
yep.
like so
That's exactly why I chose him.
yeah no, it's cool. I like Sinister. I feel like he's always kind of under the radar too. Like
Yeah.
I mean he's a good character, but like you have so many others that kind of it's hard because you do have so many others that take the cake, especially for X-Men. But he's a good under the radar one. What are we at 5?
Yep.
So I just went with the Skrulls as whole for me. I like the Skrull invasion. It's one of my favorite story arcs. The Super Skrulls are badass. It's so much fun to watch these guys, especially like in some of these comic series. Like these guys have been playing heroes so long that it's like, well, I mean, he did good. Like it's not like they haven't done good and stuff. But at the same time, you don't want your planet invaded by aliens. So it's such a perfect plan. And it goes back to that the old school, invasion trope for like sci-fi. So it's fun.
Yeah.
I do think it's a trippy idea just to be like, when you were reading Skrull Invasion, you didn't know who was hero, who was
Yep.
Skrull. So you're just like, the reveals definitely shook you. So
Yep.
I can see that.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. The scrolls, as a whole, I think they're pretty fucking cool. I think the Super Scrolls specifically, I really like.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I mean, you have the whole like the Kree, basically the Kree versus the Skrull. It creates Captain Marvel and shit like
Mm-hmm.
in the comics, and you have I guess both renditions of Captain Marvel. I don't know. It's just a fun space war that turned into Secret Invasion. Fun.
Yeah, no, that's a cool choice. I like it. All right, so this next one's kind of low key.
Is it Loki?
Yeah, no. It's that would have been perfect, damn it.
I know you ruined
I'm so
it.
mad. I'm so mad. Well, if one of you guys pick Loki, then do that, please. I don't know how to fucking pronounce it because I've never seen it. I think he's in the Supergirl show. I don't watch Supergirl because it bothers me. But it's Malefic, which is Martian Manhunter's brother. So obviously, I'm a huge Martian Manhunter fan just in general, and I think he plays off of him really well. I mean, being the brother, that kind of always adds to the background of the character. When your hero and the villain is, their sibling, that kind of adds it. But essentially, I mean, what he did with the Hronmir's plague, like on Mars, he created a plague that essentially burned alive any of the green Martians on Mars that use their telepathic powers. And so he was just trying to wipe out the whole race because he is a piece of shit. And so he created this giant plague to kill everybody. And the only person it didn't end up killing was his brother, which is John Jones, Martian Manhunter. But I thought it was just kind of a cool concept, having the the brother being the villain, and just kind of the fucked up, you're literally trying to destroy your whole species because you think they're not a worthy race. You're like, I'd rather wipe them from existence. But no, that was a big one for me. I mean, he's not like some big character. I mean, he's really just in the Martian Manhunter storylines. But I thought, I mean, just as a Manhunter fan, he just was really interesting. I thought he was just a dickhead.
Yeah, I have no reference. I actually haven't read any of those comics. As a brother versus brother sort of um, concept, I think, and I know they're not truly brothers in a lot of iterations, but I always thought Sabretooth Wolverine would be the
Sure.
best kind of
Sure.
to display that.
Yeah, I haven't read a lot of it. The only thing I know from Martian is some Justice League stuff. So my brother thing was gonna go to X-Men too, but I was gonna go Step Brothers with Xavier and Juggernaut.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, Juggernaut was again, he was another one I was thinking about when I was making this list, and it's like his origin and shit's just fun, but because the whole brother thing, but
Yeah, I think just that brother dynamic adds so much to it because it's like it's not just a guy you're trying to go out to
Right.
kill. It's like, okay,
right, it's your bread.
yeah, you gotta fucking kill your own blood. But anyway,
Yeah, it's a cool storyline. I do like Martian Manhunter, so I can definitely understand why you put him on there.
yeah. Number 4.
Number 4. So, breaking it, I'm the first one to not do a Marvel or DC comic.
Oh my god.
Originating in Dark Horse Comics.
Mm.
Currently owned by DC, but that doesn't matter. Originated in Dark Horse Comics. Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just the suit, awesome. Like the constant just pain that he puts to the turtles is, just great. Just a really cool character.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Shredder's pretty fucking iconic. I mean, just in general. I mean, even not. I mean, I feel like maybe I didn't grow up as much with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I did a little bit with the show, but I've honestly never actually read any of the TMNT comics. What I know of Shredder, I mean, he's pretty fucking badass. I like
the comics are a little bit darker than the show.
That's what I've
By
heard.
A little bit,
yeah.
I mean a lot.
Well, that's what I've heard. Is like it's obviously once Nickelodeon kind of started owning them, I guess for the media standpoint, you obviously can't really translate that.
Shredder is brutal in the comics.
But no, he's cool. That's a cool choice.
Yeah, I like Shredder too. I can't really. He's a badass. He, like you said, he is brutal. Brutal's almost even an understatement, even though, like, I mean, you think brutal and it's about as bad as it gets. But I feel like, again, putting it to the turtles, like, very few things are, I think, almost even comparable, other than maybe what Spider-Man did to Doc Ock over years and years and years. Choice.
Cool. Yeah, that was a good choice.
So number 4 for me is kind of a tie. So I did a Marvel and DC here. Now, the ideology here is they're just both chaos for chaos. On the DC end, you have the Joker, which we've already talked about a shit ton in this, and then you have Carnage for Marvel. They do it in very different ways. Like Cletus is just straight up murdering bitches all day long. It's kind of, it's like Zack's from earlier too.
Yeah.
But with the superpower. So
yes. Yeah.
And then the Joker is just chaos to be chaos. And I mean, Cletus's kind of motto is the same way. So I had to go with both of them because I really love the idea of pure chaos, and I couldn't separate them.
Sure.
Really.
I don't want to talk too much about it because way to fucking spoil some of the rest of my list, but yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not really going to talk about Joker because that was a majority of this fucking podcast. But I love the Joker. You know, having that chaos just to be chaos and not really worried about dying and not necessarily worrying about, you know, trying to kill Batman. You know, it's just chaos to do it. Carnage, again, I don't want to get too much into, but I love Carnage. So yeah, good choice.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not going to mention the Joker at all, because I think we gone into that pretty far.
Just a little bit.
I do like. I like about Carnage the story where he becomes the symbiote god and just is kind of overpowered and crazy.
It's just
yeah.
Again, it's just a very perfect crazy. He's crazy for chaos and chaos' sake and murdering sake.
And like Miles Morales is the main Spider-Man, I think, in that story. And
yeah,
it gets interesting for sure.
That was a good choice.
You were on trades, Coop.
All right, so number 3. So mine's gonna be the Joker. Again, I don't want to try and go too deep into it. I've loved almost every rendition of the Joker. I mean, I literally have in my notes Joker, self-explanatory. I mean,
yeah, we've talked him to death.
2 of my favorite comics of all time are him mainly really as the villain with the Dark Knight Returns and the Killing Joke. So yeah, that's the Joker.
Yeah, I don't think we really have to mention more about him here. Okay.
Yeah, we'll jump to you.
Yep. So my number 3 has been mentioned before. I'm going to talk a little bit more about him now than I did previously. Lex Luthor is my number 3, and so the reason he's my number 3, I kind of see him as like an anti-Iron Man because he tries to do everything Iron Man does, but for the exact opposite reasons. It's like, I'm going to be in this for myself than rather protect the world. I also like that he is literally able to outsmart anyone. There is no one that can out chess Lex Luthor. You cannot outgame him. He's always a few steps ahead. He's an excellent leader in the Legion of Doom series and stuff. He he goes on to try basically any way possible to get control, especially in the comics. I think that's really a good character.
Yeah, I don't have to say much. I mean, obviously he was in my list. He's a fantastic villain. I think he's the reason probably Superman is so popular.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on. I don't think without him, Superman just stays too overpowered. Yeah. Yeah, I like him. He was top. I think he made top 20 for me, just not quite top 10.
Sure. All right, number 3, Jeremy.
My number 3 is Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have one of these lists and not have Doctor Doom on it. Again, he's just, I don't know. Yeah, he rules over his own country just because. Like, why not? Like, I mean, he's one of those scientists. Again, he got deformed, and then he heated the iron plate to his face just to look more intimidating because he was sick of his scarred look. Like, I don't know, this guy, there's just no fucking around with him, and I don't think there's a better villain for the Fantastic Four. So, other than maybe Galactus, but Galactus is still just a distant second.
I think Doom is, Galactus is great, but I think Doom is really just kind of rounds the Marvel or the Fantastic Four just storyline, like him being
he has so many different storylines too. Not only is he a Fantastic Four villain, but
yes,
Avengers villain as well. Yeah,
I mean, he's wielded the goddamn Infinity Gauntlet for God's sake.
Yep.
So if that tells you anything about how powerful he is.
This was actually my number 11. He was my first cut.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, do I include Doctor Doom in this list? Um, and I have his name crossed out because I was like, do I put Doctor Doom here? And nope,
Yeah.
couldn't do it. So it's definitely
Yeah. I
my
mean,
number 11.
he's
Um, but no, yeah, love Doctor Doom. I think he's a mastermind in the way Lex Luthor is. He is, um, he has that same charisma, that same leadership. Uh, Doom bots are intimidating. They're not even him, but they're a force to be reckoned with. Uh, Honestly, if I know we're talking comics, but he would be my hope for the next main villain in a movie series. Like that would
like
be
the
my number one pick,
MCU.
I think. Yep.
I'm absolutely ready for the MCU to bring in the Fantastic Four storyline and hopefully Doctor Doom, obviously, along with that, and hopefully expand kind of into the cosmic realm of that.
Right, like God Doom. That'd be fucking sweet.
Yeah, be fucking sick.
Yeah.
All
Not
right.
only is Doom like a great scientist, he's also a great sorcerer, and like you know, at different points in the comics, he's done it all pretty much. Yeah, his time as a hero as like Iron Man, kind of. Yeah. It's-
All I gotta say is the
Yeah,
most recent Fantastic Four did him so much justice.
yeah,
Fuck that movie.
that was so bad. I think I finally watched it this summer after all this time, and it's like, well, this is awful.
I will go back to the original early 2000s Fantastic Four.
Yeah, 1,000 times better. What's his butt rendition of Doctor Doom wasn't that bad. I actually really liked his acting on it.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, it was just early Marvel movies. It was just
Yeah,
cheesy.
exactly.
But he's fine as Doctor Doom. All right, number 2. Where we're at. All right.
Yeah.
Well, again, Jeremy kind of spoiled it. Just literally from my 3 to 2 is Carnage. um, Carnage is just a straight up fucking savage. I like him so much more than Venom. I mean, Venom is sometimes considered an anti-hero, but um, I don't know. There's just something about him as a villain that's just fucking terrifying. And like against somebody like Spider-Man, it's just so fucking scary because it's like, I mean, he's literally a serial killer. I mean, Victor Zsasz, in a way, and then he gets the Carnage symbiote, which is just like, let's go kill some more. So it's like killing people times fucking 30. The Carnage USA comics were fucking fun. Maximum Carnage is obviously fucking wonderful. I've always been so much more drawn to Carnage than Venom. He's just so, I don't know, he's just so much fucking scarier as a villain. I love him. I'm excited for Woody Harrelson to play him. Just maybe not with that wig.
That's what you're talking about. Best part, man.
I'm definitely a Team Venom player. I prefer Venom more, but I do see the appeal of Carnage. I think his run as like where he consumes the God symbiote and starts just basically corrupting everyone is a good comic book run. Um, I mean, he's a good character. I'm definitely Team Venom personally.
Sure. That's fair.
I think I like Carnage just a little bit more. Just because Venom breaches that anti-hero the border a lot more than he probably should at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Carnage, I mean, obviously he's on my list too. He's badass. Again, chaos, but with a symbiote.
Yeah. I mean, literally, yeah. All right, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, my number 2. So if this wasn't comic books, this would be my number 1 villain. So currently owned by Marvel Comics. Didn't originate there though. Again, Darth Vader. I don't know if you guys have read the new runs. It's just great. A great character overall. I know he didn't originate in the comics, but as as a villain, he's intimidating. And the new lines of comics that are coming out, where he searches for Padme's tomb. That it gives a sense of realism where you still see Anakin in him, uh, but also he's out there taking out, you know, just crazy feats just because he's such a powerful villain. Yeah, and I think he just like overall he needed to be on my list.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't include him was because I honestly haven't read any of the Darth Vader comics. Darth Vader as a character is probably one of the most fleshed out and best written villains. I mean, not just of Darth Vader, but you get the side of Anakin Skywalker too. There's just so much to unpack in his character. So I guess talking from just a Darth Vader fan, yeah, I mean it's a pretty clear choice.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Darth Vader? Really, I mean, the only I don't know. I've read some of the comics. I really do love Darth Vader. I just my comics just went a little bit more traditional as far as comics go. But otherwise, he probably would have been on the list.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
Well.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. What's your? No, you're good. If you were gonna say something else.
No, you're fine. Number 2 for me. This one is gonna be my unconventional pick, but Deadpool from Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Like,
Okay.
I
mean,
considered him too. You know,
like so I love that run so much that I couldn't. Killing an entire universe. How are you not the bad guy? It's like the other thing, like the way he's driven to kill the universe. You know, they're trying to get him fixed, like his mental stability fixed, and it just finally snaps, and he's tired of being tricked and lied to, and the most heartbreaking scene, you watch him fucking kill Spider-Man. Like, I mean, his Spider Bro, his best buddy, basically his man crush. I mean, I don't know. And then the way he is ruthless about it. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's ever killed anyone as good as he has killed everyone in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I considered him too. I decided that I could not see him as a villain, even in that run. I know it's hard to say that he's the hero of that run, but it feels like it's written where he's the hero of that run still.
Right.
I do like. There are so many good things. Like if we had a hero list or an anti-hero list, Deadpool is probably going to be on
anti-hero list. Yeah. But.
And that's why I couldn't include him, because I just couldn't see him as a villain to me. But I love Deadpool.
My main thing is anyone that kills Spider-Man, automatic villain.
I like the Zombie President's run.
Oh,
very good with Deadpool.
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, like you said, it was a pretty unconventional choice, being specifically kind of from that storyline. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to consider him a villain for like everybody that he fucking killed. I mean, it's like, how do you not? But no, it's a good choice. I like
it. Even jumps out of the fucking comic book pages and kills the writers. Like, all they try to do is write him into existence.
No, that's a good choice. I like All right.
Number 1.
So for number 1, you won't believe this pick. This will be right after our ad. No, I'm just kidding. So my number 1 pick, you two won't be shocked, but nobody else really knows who I am. So it's going to be the Riddler. So I don't know. And it's not so much. I mean, it is of course his character, but I think the biggest thing that probably draws me to him is a lot of the nostalgic factor to it. He's honestly one of the first villains that I was like introduced to as a kid. Like when I was watching Batman the Animated Series, like the episodes that would come on TV, almost positive the first one that I ever saw was with Riddler. I was actually introduced to the Riddler before I even was the Joker. And so I thought he was cool. Aesthetically, I was like, oh, it's so cool with the question mark. And I think one of my first action figures, or at least favorite action figures that I ever got, was the Riddler, from the animated series. And so ever since then, any comic that I've ever read with him in it, I've just, of course, absolutely loved. The newer renditions of the Joker, which I feel like DC is kind of going with in general, and I tend to like more, is the more realistic and grounded villain stories that aren't so campy and things. I think it's just the idea of him trying to prove that he's smarter than the world's greatest detective, being able to stump, again, the world's greatest detective, but at the same time kind of having that conflict of, he in some ways is smarter than Batman, but what's driving him absolutely fucking crazy is that he can't figure out who the Batman is. And I don't know. I've always just found him super fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Riddler. I wouldn't include him in my list. I mean, everyone loves a mystery, and I feel like that's his main thing. I feel like, for me, there are better Batman villains. Mainly the Joker, and I think he just gets overshadowed by the Joker.
That's true. It's true. He
Yeah,
just he holds too big of a place in my heart.
Yeah, and I mean it's perfectly fair. This is why, like I said, this is why I said favorites was gonna be more fun.
Yeah, that's why we had to do it, because if we did best, it was going to be hard to include the Riddler.
It would have been a little bit more
I
argumentative
understand.
too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
but the Riddler, it's perfectly fine. You like him. He's just a little bit goober for me. Like I don't know. So his riddles are fun.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's costume was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for the upcoming rendition. All right, Dan, your
I don't think you
final
guys.
number one pick.
Yep. I don't think you guys would have seen this coming. I don't think you know how much I actually like this character and his plan. Um, this is a DC. Um, Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt. Uh, I love the idea of him being like, we need to unite the country. How do we do this? And being like, we have to unite against or like unite the world. We have to unite against a common enemy. So what do we do? And then he comes up with the idea of giant squid invasion that's going to kill several million people, and like that's honestly believable. It's something I could see myself if I had the power and the money to do. Maybe not giant squids, but like I would definitely stage an alien invasion to try to unite the world if the situation was looking dire. Um, I don't even blame him for that. Like it makes sense logically to do something like that. Like for him, it was 3 million people in these areas or nuclear holocaust, and he's like, it was an easy choice for him. And then he not only had the ability to understand what he was doing, but he was able to outsmart someone who could literally see through time. Um, he was able to outsmart a group of so many different like heroes, all with different detective abilities.
I mean, shit, even Dr. Manhattan.
That's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
outsmarted literally a god. Like Dr. Manhattan could literally do anything, could see through time and everything, was able to outsmart him, block him from seeing this. And that my favorite thing too is that supervillain trope where he's explaining his plan and they're like, we're gonna stop you, and he's like, I already did it. Well, would you think I really was just gonna stand here and tell you what I was gonna do? No, this happened minutes ago.
Yeah, it's like it's already done.
Yeah.
I actually had him in my list. I think I didn't include him in my favorites list. Again, if we were doing ranks of best villains, I think he would probably creep his way in there. I think Adrian Veidt as a character isn't necessarily my favorite or the most interesting. I think I probably prefer Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach as a character. Like, just as for enjoyment when I'm reading. But if I was like rating the best like villain and that shit that he had to do, you know, he kind of pulled an MCU Thanos. He's like, I'm just gonna fucking do what needs to be done. So, and you're like, I mean, it's hard to say he's the villain, but he absolutely is the villain of the Watchmen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I love that choice. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a very good choice. He was, I think, 12 for me, so he was right there. He's but and like Coop said, he would definitely creep. I don't think he doesn't make a top 10 of the best villains because I mean his plan's executed without any niche. Like I mean, and like you said, he fucking just outwits a god. He completely makes the heroes look like assholes. Yeah.
I think what made it so good.
I don't know
was,
if I did not see it. I guess I did not see it. I don't know. I didn't really see it coming, but I did not see it coming because again he was on my list, and it's like figured most of the guys that were on my list would be on one of your lists too. So
I was happy he was included.
I was expecting some like fourth wall, like no name comic book, just
sure. I think the thing I like the most is he's not necessarily all powerful in regards to superpowers, but I mean his main superpower is being so goddamn smart. And I think that's I mean it's not really a superpower, but it's kind of one of the coolest superpowers, you know, if you're able to outsmart somebody with godlike abilities, it just makes it fucking great. Good choice.
So my number one's, I mean, it's probably pretty typical at this point, but he's a very good character for a reason. It's Magneto. I love everything about Magneto, like his power, his story. It's so long, and I mean, every rendition of his story is just sad. You know, the movies, Fassbender's renditions. Just, I mean, it's so hard to see what this guy's gone through. And if you take the comic books, like it just gets even worse, like just because they have so much more to it. Especially, I mean, yeah, I really like, you know, like the World War One and World War Two history. So like having him involved in that, it's just I don't know, it's a fun thing to see, and I love how they incorporated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Dan. You can go first.
Yeah. Okay. I think if we were doing best, I think he would make top 3 for me. He's not one of my favorite characters, but as a villain, Magneto's top tier. You know, his reasoning for doing what he does makes total sense. Um, I always see him a little bit more of an anti-hero as well, and you know, I mean, he runs the Brotherhood, but like, you know, when he's creating the island, Geonosia, is that a Geonosis? What is it?
That's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, Geonosia, right? I don't know what it is.
I don't remember the name of the island, but
The island, like, you know, he's creating the island as a safe haven for mutants, and he actually just generally is like, I don't want to see mutants prosecuted, which is a total logical thing to think, given his history.
right.
And I think even with his run-ins with the X-Men, he's never really trying to destroy or kill the X-Men. He's just trying to keep them from, you know, interfering with what he's trying to do.
Right. I think that's the draw to Magneto. Like, and most of the villains on my list is like most of these guys have very reasonable understandings for why are they doing this. Like, and that, I mean, other than, you know, you have a couple guys for chaos and shit, but like his reasoning behind doing this is, I mean, especially you still look at the shit that it's happening in our fucking world right now. All the movements and stuff, it's the same fucking thing, but it's been in, I don't know, this comic book for a while, so it's like, I don't know, it just hits home.
Yeah, I think like Dan was saying, I mean, if we did a list of best villains, he's obviously, I feel like, has to be in everybody's at least like top 5. I think the fact that he can almost be considered an anti-hero makes him such a good villain. Like, he was written so well as a character that you almost feel for him as an anti-hero when, of course, I mean, he's not, but you know, the relationship he had with Professor X, and you know, he's just fighting for what he thinks is right, which I feel like most people could 100% understand what he's fighting for. You know, with racism being such a big thing, just in general. I mean, everywhere. Protecting the mutants and seeing them as equal as people, and saying that, you know, why do we need to be restricted? I mean, we're people just like you. I mean, I feel like, to me, yeah, it's such a like symbolic thing on racism, where he's just trying to protect his kind. And I agree, he's a
Yeah.
fucking phenomenal villain.
I mean, you could kind of apply. Actually, it works really well to look at Professor X as kind of like the Martin Luther King of that storyline, and then Magneto being the Malcolm X.
Yeah.
It works. It works really well at kind of those comparisons.
Yeah, I mean, you see both sides 100%. Like, I feel like it'd be hard to, you know, disagree with either of them. I mean, they both make. I mean, that's why Professor X and Magneto are such good characters in general. But yeah, Magneto's a great choice, 100%.
Yeah, you can say he, you know, does the wrong thing, but I mean, sometimes it goes back to that. I mean, how far do you go to protect, you know, the ones you love and care about, and protect people?
And then like, so even on just not his character too, his aesthetic. This is one of those other guys that I don't think I'd ever want to even hang out with. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like his character, you know, he can be reasonable, but like, you also know that he can flip on a switch if you say like just the one wrong thing. It's like, oh, I'm fucking dead. Plus his helmet and shit's pretty badass looking.
Pretty damn iconic. Well, shit. No, those were all.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were all great lists. I liked everybody's list. Real quick, we can just do it really fast. I don't think we need any explanations, but I was just gonna run through honorable mentions if you guys had any.
Oh yeah,
I just had a couple. My few honorable mentions were Scarecrow, Harley Quinn, and Rhino. That was really all I had. I didn't want to build too big of a list there.
You know, I'll go 3 honorable mentions as well. I know it was already mentioned, but Doctor Doom, just on the cutting floor. Apocalypse as well was just on the cutting floor, and also. Actually, those are probably the only 2 that really like were close, and that I just cut. I think I had one more name written down, but I don't see what it is. But it might have been one of them too. Oh, Venom. I had him written down, and I crossed him out too. So those are my 3 honorable mentions.
Okay.
My
Clearly,
favorite.
they're on there crossed out. That's a Venom there, Apocalypse there, and then a Doctor Doom is right here crossed out.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so I think mine was definitely Ozymandias. He was right there. Good choice. And then I really like Galactus. He's kind of just one of those all-worldly. It's fun to watch him just destroy shit and you know have that wherewithal.
World Eater.
And I think my third was I mentioned him earlier, is Juggernaut. Like I really like the X-Men ploy between his stepbrother and Charles and shit, and it was just fun. Plus his being able to run through everything is just kind of entertaining as shit. So he goes. He's one of those guys that just transcends to everyone. You know, he's bought Avengers, just Spider-Man, X-Men, a little bit of everyone.
Sweet. Well, shit, we ran pretty long on that segment, but I think that was a pretty entertaining. That was a pretty good segment. All in all, no, I think those were all great lists from everybody. I think that was fun, for sure. So that wraps up our final segment. Appreciate everybody stopping by. We post every Mondays. Currently, we are available on Spotify, Pocket Casts, and YouTube. We're trying to get open to a couple more platforms, but we're just kind of waiting for that to go through. So keep tuning in. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and we'll see you on the next episode.